I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We're here today with Ready to Love and the show Ready to Love, Make a Move. This is season 1, episode 4, keeping your options open. How are you guys doing today?
All good, thank you.
Thank you, JR,
Doing great.
Calvin, and Sean. You guys okay?
Doing very well. It's a great day.
Awesome, 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 awesome,
Doing
awesome.
wonderful.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to thank all of you guys for being here. JR was letting me know that what was it you were telling me earlier today, JR, about the daylight saving time in the UK? How does that go now?
Yeah, so our clock basically goes back an hour a week before yours does. So we're now on the same time difference.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So I hope everybody that is in a time zone where we went back to the end of daylight saving time, you guys set your clock, because I went around and I set all my clocks and everything. And then everything is set, of course, except for the watch that I'm wearing. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But how's the weather where you guys are? What's the weather like? Sean Stokes, check in with me. What's that weather like? Hello?
75 here in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh wow.
All right.
75 here.
75 in the Metroplex. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. All right. And Calvin, I kind of know your weather. Your weather is the same as mine.
Yes, right. That's right. Yes.
So we made it to like the mid 50s today here in Metro Detroit.
But it feels good. It feels good.
It did. It did actually. It did. It was very nice. Sun was out. And JR, can you check in with what was that weather like in the UK where you are?
Weather report. I mean, we've just had 2 major storms in the UK, so lots of rain. But today, the sun came out, so it was all nice and warm for the time of year.
Yes. Good. Good.
Yes, yes, indeed.
No
So we're
thick
gonna
London
get
fall,
into it. Right. Oh,
Over here, when it rains, it pours.
Oh wow.
It's serious. So
really?
yeah. So when the sun comes out, it's to be cherished and gives you a different impetus, different way of going about your day when there's no rain to worry about.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, what did you guys, in brief, and then we're going to jump right into it. What did you guys think in brief about this episode this week? We'll start with Sean up at the top.
This episode was something else. I mean, I'm not going to start with the obvious with Ashley, the problematic issues with Ashley, but I'm going to start with if, I would say it like this, if trying to apologize and not really apologize was an issue. I didn't see the sincerity and apology. I think it was just something pushed and forced between Sharice and Zadia.
Okay. Okay.
I
Thank
don't
you
know.
for
I mean,
that.
because see, I mean, okay.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And
I don't know. I just didn't see it.
Okay. Calvin, you want to tell me what your thoughts were?
Well, it's interesting because they're learning how to not just get along with others, but how to get along with themselves. Because when you're in close proximity with people that are strangers, you have to be able to deal with them in the most diplomatic way instead of being more antagonistic. You got to concede to the greater game, because after all, you're trying to make the environment good, so you can be more strategic about how you go about bonding with not just yourself, but with the man as well. So you have to get out the way, because you're learning stuff about yourself you need to know, because the spotlight is on everybody when you think about it.
Good point. Good point. When you said bonding with the man, did you
What
mean
I'm
the
saying
man?
so far as
Oh.
you're
Mm-hmm.
learning how to be more in tune with what your needs are when you're dating somebody. It's just what you want. So if you can be amongst one another and discuss the game plan or how what is it you're doing wrong. You've been in the dating game for a while and you're relatively young, but you have yet to find the person that it works with. So if you can just kind of get into some better assessment of what you need to do that's different instead of being I'm talking to women that's in the households. Instead of being more confrontation, this is the time to get your game plan together because you're getting older.
I like that. I like what
Mm-hmm.
you said too
Mm-hmm.
about each person taking ownership and
Yeah.
assessing
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
not just assessing what the other person may or may not be doing wrong, but also assessing what am I doing,
That's right. Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
what could I do better.
What can you do better that's new and different? Because I thought you want to break the trend that you're in. You cannot break the trend if you still focus on the old behavioral patterns and thought patterns.
That's it. It's hard to break those old behavioral patterns. And what? Thank you for that. And Jr., what are your thoughts on this week's episode?
Uh, I think the apology uh, was meant to be the end of the chapter between Zadia and Sharice. I do think it was pretty much orchestrated because they don't want that to be the main storyline
Mm-hmm.
between the two of
Mm-hmm.
them. I also think that again we're seeing how much has been brought from previous relationships into this new current situation,
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and in some cases, are they still bringing their experiences from the previous seasons that they were on
Right.
and the dating choices that they made into this
Mm-hmm.
situation?
Yeah.
So those were a couple of things that stood out straight away, and I'm sure we're about to dive in deeper.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think real quick, why do you think? Do you feel like that? Maybe just briefly, Jr. Do you feel like maybe production made it clear to both the ladies that they must squash this debate, argument, whatever you want to call it, disagreement between them?
Yeah, I think there would have been an element of that because from what we saw from Zadia's apology last week, Sharice wasn't there for it at all. She didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to accept it. So for her to come like a week later, um, what was the change of heart? Like, has she suddenly warmed to Zadia overnight? I don't think so. So I think there may have been some prompting to try and resolve the issue. And Sharice did go and try to an extent, but that apology wasn't a sincere apology because it was full of, what you did, and I didn't appreciate this and that. And listen, if you're genuinely sorry, you just say, I'm sorry, let's move on. And I think Zadia did better at that last week than Sharice did this week.
Yeah, yeah. It's a whole mess. It had me feeling. It had me
Yeah.
starting to feel like
Yeah.
Jr. Guys, like we were in Groundhog Day. Like, can we just move
Mm-hmm.
past this and move on to the next day now?
Yeah.
Mm. But they hold grudges.
Yeah, they do.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they do.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this house is set up, structured, or what have you. To walk out the door. Now, Zalia is not sitting in the proximity to the doorway, but to walk out and say, "Well, I saw you sitting out here looking so pretty." I'm like, "Okay,
Hmm.
really? Mm, okay." And
Yeah,
I said, oh, "This
exactly.
is what I
That was
say," you know.
that was the dead giveaway.
Yeah, that was it. When she said
Yeah.
that, I'm like,
Like,
okay,
walk out.
production strikes
I saw you sitting
again.
out here looking
Mm-hmm.
so pretty. Okay.
Like that didn't that just didn't sound
Mm-hmm.
genuine. Okay, genuine. But let's go ahead and
Nah.
get it started, guys, because we got a lot of stuff to get into, and I got a
Okay.
special question I'm going to pose to the guys and to you guys, everyone in the chat too. I want you to all chime in on this, and if you're watching on the replay, of course, you can chime in, and definitely go ahead, guys, and hit that like button and check out JR's podcast and right now to his channel, so you can go over and hit his like button and check it out and give him the views too. Okay. We start off this episode with Ashley and the Donald, as I like to call Donald. Ashley is saying her emotions are all over the place. She's still teary eyed because we kind of pick up where we left off last week. She's teary eyed, she's crying, she's emotional, and she says her emotions are all over the place. And then she says something which I found very a little scary, to be quite honest. And I'm a woman. Who is that crunching? Is that you, JR? I hear you.
That's not me.
That's not
Not
you.
I. It's not I.
Somebody got some paper or something, and I can hear it. It's so loud.
That's Sean.
Oh, Sean, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. But anyway, getting back on task here.
I was just opening something.
Ashley says, that's just to let you know how powerful these microphones are. No problem. Ashley says that something that I found very scary. She says that I live all the time in my emotions, and I don't understand how the heck that works. What are your thoughts about that? Let's start with Noisy Sean up there at the top.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that sounds, I mean, I'm not a psychotherapist, but that sounds a bit imbalanced. I think the idea is when we look at it, you know, nobody should live in their emotions 24/7. You know, there must be a degree, a latitude of ups and downs or what have you. But to be always in your head overthinking, that signals to me insecurities.
Yeah, so something's going on, and then too, just how do you get to the place as an adult, not a child, but as an adult, that you prioritize your emotions when most of us as adults recognize that our emotions are not, they're a product of our perceptions, which are not always accurate. So then if you just rely solely on your emotions to make decisions, to move day to day, you're going to be making a lot of mistakes because you're not looking at facts, you're not using logic, you're not using all this education that you went to college and got all this education to dissect and critically think. You're living in your emotions and you're making decisions based on your emotion, and you're snapping at people based on your emotions. What are your thoughts?
And
What are your
that would
thoughts?
kill a relationship.
It puts a very strong barrier or a lot of responsibility on the other person because you're making them responsible for your emotions, which are actually your responsibility, not the guy's responsibility. JR, you sound like you got something else to say. What are your thoughts about it?
No, I 100% agree because listen, it's going to be very draining to be in a relationship with someone who is in their emotions to that level and definitely has some overthinking tendencies. And I think that leads to self-sabotage, right? You're always going to talk yourself out of situations or see the worst of any situation that comes your way. And being with somebody like that's going to be very demanding. And, you know, it probably will lead to quite a few arguments and crossed words being said. So, you know, it's not a good place to be in, but this is who she is. So she has to be able to master her emotions in order to see clearly what the opportunities are in front of her. Because sometimes, you know, we go with our gut and it tells us something different than when we want to go with our heart or go with our head. And, you know, it's dependent on how strongly you feel about something in those areas. And that usually dictates your decision making. And if you're unstable or erratic in the way you think, then your decision making is going to be a reflection of that too.
Exactly. Very well said. And Calvin, what are your thoughts about someone walking around here living in their emotions?
Interesting, because both of the gentlemen said they're not so much clinical in what they say, but they're making some very profound assessments of her. If she's so accustomed to looking at her emotions over reasoning, then this could be possibly an opportunity for her to change because she's dealing with a relationship expert that's critiquing them and their thought and behavioral pattern so far as the problems that they're having in getting a suitable mate. So if she allow herself opportunity to be critiqued and that these things could be, better assessed to see why she always is so easily moved emotionally and not so practical, This could be a great time for her to put more work into herself to change because she's older, but she's not so old that she can't change. It's receptive to somebody helping her redirect all that energy. And that's what she needs. She needs to be positioning herself so she can get somebody. But before she can get somebody, she has to get herself together.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And
Yeah.
and poor Donald. Now, Donald, to his credit, or however you want to look at it, because some might say, is he being genuine? Is he being sincere? She comes in and she sits back down on the couch after cursing and saying, "Why are you effing playing with me? Why are you playing with me?" Which again, I thought as a woman and as a lady, I don't think it's just my generational age, but I don't like cursing the person that I'm in relationship with or that I'm dating. I don't like it. And I darn sure wouldn't allow him to curse me. So I'm not going to curse him. So all of that, why are you effing playing me? Whatever, whatever. I think whatever question you have to ask the gentleman, you can ask it without that foul language. That's just me. But anyway, she sits down. She kind of calms down a little bit. He takes her hand and he begins to affirm that he is never going to disappoint her again. He says that I should have called. I'm never going to let that happen again. What did you gentlemen think about his move to try to assuage her and to calm her and to ease her fears? What did you think about that at that point? Sean, you want to take this
Well,
first?
I think that was a good that was yes, I think that was a good gesture. However, with a person like that, um, it sounds like a good promise, but not. I mean, nothing you could do really to per se help that person unless that person is willing to help him or herself. In this case, herself, because uh, as I was saying, she is very draining because you spend all your life and your relationship walking on eggshells around this person.
Yep,
I mean,
that's
if
it.
you breathe wrong, why you had to breathe like that? If she happened to call him and he missed her phone call, why didn't you hear me? And you saw me calling you. Why didn't you call me back? And everything plays all in the head again, and overly thinking something. And so it was just become. And like somebody just said in the chat, yeah, Donald dodged the bullet on that one. I think. I mean, he might have been
Yeah,
good for her, but
our
I think
own
he
Monique
dodged the
King
bullet on
said
that
that.
one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's not,
Uh,
I mean,
Calvin, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not even in a relationship with her, but I got drained. I got drained watching it.
Okay, thank you, Calvin. You were going to say?
well, somebody's put up a great comment. Is that I forgot the exact content, but if you're so emotional, it makes it hard for somebody to deal with you because I thought I'm not even best in a relationship, and from the very beginning you have all these red flags going on. So are you really ready for love? Because that's a deterrent. If I have to keep rolling you in, and this is early in the game, you're not basically somebody that I may not want to deal with up close and personal because it can be too overwhelming. I can be therapeutic with you, but I cannot be your therapist. Not as my
Thank you.
hey,
I was tell-
that's not fair. That's not fair.
Mhm. Agreed. Agreed. Sean's giving you a applause. Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Male
That's
or
not your
female, male or
job.
female, male or female.
Right, exactly. It's not your job in relationship, and especially in romantic relationships, but
Yeah,
even in same sex relationships, it's not your job to be anyone's therapist. It
that's
really
right.
isn't. Get your own therapist. That those people that get paid for that, because that is actually a very draining job.
It is. Yeah.
And Jr., what were your thoughts about the Donald's attempts to assuage emotional Ashley and move her?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with what's been said because I think he tried to do some cleanup, tried to give her some reassurance, apologize, say, he'll do better. But I think because she's inside her feelings so much and how she was hurt by that, she obviously hasn't let it go, because even after seeing the text messages, as we mentioned last week, he sent the messages, they just weren't received, right? So she's held on to that the whole time. She was passive aggressive in the date last week, and now she's using it as a reason to eliminate him from the process, pretty much. And you can see how worked up she got over it, even after they've had the conversation, even after he's made the apology and said he'll do better. She still, got very emotional about it and used it against him to say there's no connection. I don't think there's anything he could have done. The type of personality that she has, once her mind's made up and she's in her feelings and she believes she's been hard done by or wronged, then she's going to stay there. And he had no choice. He, as much as he may have liked her and wanted it to work, I agree, he dodged the bullet, because it would have been a long, hard, stressful relationship, communication wise, with a lady like Ashley, with who he seems to be. Not a good match.
No, not even. And just one last thing on this before we move forward. Well, two more things briefly, but one thing that stood out to me is that, I guess, maybe if I'm misunderstanding something, you guys tell me in the chat, tell me on the replay in the comment section. Why a woman or a man would expect after a date or two that this person must call you, must text you every day, and why also she would not, if she's concerned about his well-being or concerned about them keeping in contact, why she couldn't pick up the phone to call him. I'm not really understanding, after one date or two, that you have this kind of overreaction. It seems to me, like, this is not your man. This is just, you guys are not in a committed relationship. Yeah, you told him that you were going to keep him over this one other guy that you went out with, but at this point, it's only been a date or two. I'm not. Does anybody understand that?
Well, this is the thing. It's so early in the process. They haven't been intimate. They haven't got into any real connection yet. And this is how emotional and high strung she is. So that's why it's a huge bullet that he dodged, because, as the relationship progresses, this behavior might intensify. And then when it does, how is he going to be able to have a relationship with her when she's so volatile and unpredictable in the way she's going to lash out? So, yeah, the good thing is, on the other hand, is that it has happened early before there's any real investment, and they go their separate ways.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Anyone else want to chime in on what you guys think might have happened, or why she was so emotional about him not texting or calling just for 1 or 2 days? Like, I don't know.
But did you reference that she's had some?
Well, I mean, it's.
Hold on, Sean. Calvin had the floor.
I was going to
Go
say,
ahead, Calvin. Go ahead.
And please forgive me. I'll make it brief. Did you make some reference that she had some unresolved childhood issues related to her father? Is this the same one?
Yes, this is the same young lady, and she's mentioned it in the first episode, and we know, those of us that are familiar with her from Ready to Love, Calvin, to your point, yes, her father was unalived, unfortunately, at a restaurant that they own in Atlanta. And now I can't say for sure whether or not it's unresolved for her, but there does seem to be the behavior of someone who's traumatized. And I think that could be from, certainly, losing a loved one like that, to unalive. That's what we call in the grief industry. That's called complicated grief. So that's one thing. And then, some people were saying that if she gotten over the situation from Alex on Ready to Love, well, I was telling that person that was over 5 years ago. So I would hope so. But what I want to say for people to consider is this: sometimes when we date the same way, year in and
Mhm.
year out, relationship
Mhm.
in and relationship out,
Mhm.
sometimes we have a line and succession of relationships that are failed. And
Mhm.
we're not only just dealing with the last one that failed, but we're
Mhm.
actually dealing with the compilation of all the relationships that
That's
failed.
right. That's right. But you know, that's interesting in dating a person. You're not just dating them; you're dating their persona and all their personality and all that it entails. So when we look at a person, or when we deal with a person in a dating situation, and with the process of getting to know them enough to commit to them, we always have to be aware of, which may not be pronounced sometimes it is, of how they function with us. Because, you know, if they're objective, that's one thing. But if they have something that seems to be too intense right away, it may not go away, you know? The intensity of it may get, like I said earlier, what's happening with her is so dysfunctional, it can get worse the longer she dates the person, you know, because she's too intent on not being abandoned, on not being disappointed or
Mhm.
disillusioned until she go over the top, whether she's conscious of it or not.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you're right, Calvin. Sometimes in being over the top and trying to jump
Mm-hmm.
the gun and beat somebody to breaking up with you or ending
Mm-hmm.
things
Yeah.
because of your fear of rejection and
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mm-hmm.
your past traumas,
That's right.
sometimes that will be the very thing that sabotages every relationship that you try to enter into.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing,
Well, I guess my question.
like we briefly touched on, it's unfair to bring
Mm-hmm.
so much into a relationship and drown the person you want to be with in. You're going to completely immerse them in an uncomfortable experience that they didn't cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if she does have, previous things left unresolved or feelings hurt from previous relationships and all that other stuff, someone's put in the chat the grieving of her father and all those things. That is for her to then take ownership
Mm-hmm.
of those things and try and resolve those issues. And if
Mm-hmm.
she wants to have a relationship, she can't bring that and into the relationship and push that onto the person she's with, because that's unfair. And we would see it the other way if it was the other way around. If you have things unresolved, you have to take care of it yourself. You don't
Mm-hmm.
burden your partner with it and then lash out and all these other things, because there's no way he can resolve the issue for you, because he's not the one that caused the problem in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no justifying it. The fact of the matter is, if these are things that she knows she has, then she has to
Mm-hmm.
take control and deal with it.
Right. We want to go ahead and thank you for that. We want to go ahead and get Sean in because he was waiting
Yeah.
to speak after Calvin. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, my question, I guess, would be okay, now since season one of Ready to Love, that's what, 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did
Mm-hmm.
she do in the meantime, in between time, preparing before this show? Did
Mm.
she date? I mean, you know, what was in that space in between when season one Ready to Love wrapped up and the reunion from that? As she was crying there because Alex was Courtney or whatever was in the hospital at death's door,
Mm-hmm.
and between that, the filming at that moment, and now the filming of this show, what was her life like? What did she do? Was
Mm.
it a repetitive cycle after that, from what she experienced then, or did she just jump from there and then doing the self healing and then come on this show? I mean, that's one story we don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, and because I think that can to see how she moved from then to now will basically begin to tell us a lot of things about her mindset. I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a very
Mm-hmm.
good point because I have JR or Calvin, do you guys remember at the beginning on the first episode if she said whether or not she had been dating since Ready to Love? Do you guys remember? Or you guys out in the chat again? I have to rely on you because there's so much they're saying and sometimes you miss it or sometimes you heard it but you forget.
Mm.
I didn't catch it.
Okay,
I mean, because
that's
I
fair.
basically forgot. I basically forgot about her after the season. You know.
Same here.
Uh,
Well, one thing about it, I'm going to say this, and I think there's somebody out in the chat. We kind of discussed this, and I'm gonna bring her points up, and I noticed it too as I was going back and starting to rewatch the first season of Ready to Love that Ashley was on. Her guy, Alex, uh, he basically wanted two or three other women, not Ashley, before he kind of settled on Ashley, if that makes any sense. So I think that may play a part in her dilemma also, and in her self-esteem. Like you're on a dating show, and I get that the guys are dating each other. The guys are dating multiple women. The women are dating multiple men. But I was watching, and I was just on the early episodes, and I'm like, well, when does Ashley and Alex actually click? And then this person was saying that it wasn't until they get to the house, for all the singles that were still left. And I always think that, to me, by the time we get to the house segment of Ready to Love, you should be kind of locked in on your person. You dated everybody a couple of times. You know who you click and who you have chemistry with, and who you like and who you don't. So, anybody else want to hazard
and
any
then
commentary? Okay, go ahead, Sean.
and then probably, I mean, I don't know how much time expired between him being in the hospital and her coming to this revelation of everything, or the findings of that he was not the person that he presented himself to be, because probably if they were feeling themselves each other on the show, there probably was some fumbling in the sheets and what have you, and that could have caused feelings to come in as well. And it's just a whole lot of things that unpack, just instead of just being on the show. But what's the expectation after that? Do we act like a together exclusive couple with each other? Do we go to the next, take it to the next level, per se? And then, if, say for instance, if she did give herself to him, then of course, and then when this goes down, this also plagues her mind, what have you, with rejection and what have you. So it's just a whole lot of things to unpack.
Okay, okay. And then my only other question to this was, I don't know. Like I said again, maybe it's me. I'm discovering as I'm talking with my children, and I'm being very self-reflective lately, that I am a rigid person. Yes, I said it. I am a rigid person, and a lot of people would think that I've been in the military, though I have never been in the
Okay.
military. And so I say this because at the end of the scene, and we'll wrap this part up with Ash and Donald, they're hugging and they're saying their goodbyes. Me, I'm more cut and dry than that. If I'm saying goodbye to you, I might shake your hand, and it's like a swift kick out the door you go, because we ain't doing all that hugging, and you ain't getting the feel on my great body like that. I'm sorry. All bets are off once I say goodbye. So
But that's just
is anybody else, what is your thought on that, or if you have one, and if not, we'll just move on. I'm just that way. I'm sorry.
but that's just the point. When you're dating a person, you're dating the composite of everything about them. How you deal with disappointments, how you deal with life in general. So, like you said, I'll shake your hand, see you later. Sorry, Nara. But for her, she needs a lot of reassurance, But you dating the composite of who you really are. It's not something that you just can be selective about. When you're dating a person, you put everything out there, good, bad, ugly. So I think it's not just the persons that we're dating, but how we deal with ourselves that matters the most. It's who you are at the core of your being that makes a difference.
Katie, you bring up a very good point. Katie says that maybe Ashley, if she's going into every relationship seeking nothing but validation, and that she seems to have no intention of building up her
That's
own
it.
self-esteem.
That's right.
I don't know, but it's beginning to feel like it, at least, because And then this whole thing about living in her emotions,
Mm-hmm.
I can't get with that. I'm not.
That's a trademark.
Yeah, that's her trademark. And if you,
Mm-hmm.
it's like those people that say, I'm not rude, I just tell it like it is, and all that kind of stuff. That's the same thing. Like, to me,
Same
you're
principle.
you're
Mm-hmm.
undisciplined when you say you always telling it like it is, and then you trying to warn us that basically you're a rude person that doesn't know how to
Yeah.
filter what you're saying to
Yeah.
people.
Mhm.
It's no good. That's no good in relationships with people. You may feel like a champ because you get to destroy everybody's feelings by saying whatever you want whenever you want, but that's really not how society works best. That's not how I believe. I don't think that's how relationships work best.
Mm-hmm.
But so we move forward on that note. Oh, go ahead real quick, Sean.
No, I can't. I don't know if JR knows about this, but I'm sure you know, Aubrey and Calvin. I'm sure he knows about it. If you go back to that 1970s song, "Runaway Little Boy," you know,
Mm-hmm.
she
Oh
said he came
yeah.
home with 14 mirrors, some Afro fluid, do it,
That's
like it to it, you
yeah.
know. And then she said, "Look." Then by the end of the song, she said, "Don't stand so close when you try to get that last goodbye kiss. I know your moves now." And then she finally breaks down. She said, "You promised you can get a job by Tuesday." So, so you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole
Oh, you think it was
breakdown
one of
thing like
those type of
That's
that.
one of those type of
mm-hmm.
situations?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And
The
I have to
whole
ask
breakdown thing, you know.
that whole breakdown. Yeah. Wait a minute. You know what? I had to ask the question, and I don't know. I can usually tell by body language, and I have a little inkling on this one, but on Ready to Love, whenever I'm watching Ready to Love, I can generally tell by a couple of things: body language, hugs, the way the guy pats the
Mm-hmm.
woman on the behind or drops his hand low,
Mm-hmm.
that they're very familiar with each other, which to me indicates
Uh-huh.
there's probably been some mambo going on in the bedroom with these two.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
I don't
That's
know
it.
if that's the case with the Donald and our girl Ashley, but it makes me a little quizzical that maybe because and at the end, toward the end of this episode, we hear that they've been there a month, and these
Mm-hmm.
two were connected right from the get go, right from the very first date. So I don't know what's going on with that, but like I said again, it doesn't matter if there's intimacy or not intimacy in my mind. When I'm saying goodbye to you, it's a wrap. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you'd be lucky if you get my four fingers to shake because I'm basically looking for you to turn around so I can give you a swift kick out my door and we can move
Mm-hmm.
on because I don't play those games. I don't play like I'm saying goodbye to you on the one hand, but then I'm still holding on to you. And for me, that it kind of shows somebody who is unstable, somebody who is in their emotions rather than their logic. Because when you make a decision, let your yes be yes and let your no be no.
Mm. I agree.
Yeah,
So I don't know, guys,
yeah, it
but
does.
Tamika comes in to comfort Ashley, to tell her that love is on its way, all
Mm-hmm.
things are good, and
Mm-hmm.
Christmas still exists, and so does Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
um then we see Bernicia. She meets up with Gary. It's a new guy. She's dating this new guy named Gary,
Mm-hmm.
who is a dad of two teen boys, and they meet at a pool hall. Gary
Mm-hmm.
tells us he's into transportation. Not sure if he's a bus driver, if he's a truck driver. I'm not sure what that really means, but
Mm-hmm.
he could have just said logistics if he wanted to be smart about it. Just say logistics. That's what all the guys on Tinder. That's what my girls are telling me, that the guys on Tinders, when they say they're into logistics, they're truck drivers. So just
Okay.
say that. But I'm not sure. But
Right.
whatever. It's her date,
Uh-huh.
not mine. So I
Uh-huh.
ain't gonna worry about it. And he also tells us that he's an influencer. What did you
Mm-hmm.
guys think about this date? JR, I'm going to start with you, JR. What did you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Civil date. Um, I think it went quite well. Um, Again, this guy does have kids and is probably going to match her on that level where she's got three, I think, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with this particular guy, my thought was if she already has a problem with the keeper, and even though it wasn't made a big deal of, but she indicated about the finance, they had that conversation. him be like this guy being in logistics, he makes a lot of money if he's a truck driver, but if he's an Uber driver, then he's on a 0 hours contract.
Oh, you
So
know what? Yes, I forgot that one. Right.
so I think they'll probably need to have more conversations about how their relationship can flourish and how he can protect and provide for her and give her the security that he needs. And if she's basing her choices also on what someone's occupation is, then yeah, like that needs to be clarified whether he's an Uber driver or a long distance truck driver. Two vastly different pay scales in the same field.
Monique, you a mess. She says she's a one last feel kind of gal. Okay, you go on with your bad self. Go ahead, Calvin. You were gonna say about the date with Vernicia and Gary.
Gary, yeah.
Gary. Well, you know what? It's if you're ready, when you say you're looking for love, you have to be sure what love is and love is not. The finance is good, the romance is good, the interaction it's a composite approach. So you're not just gonna have one thing held constant and something else not so pronounced. You have to deal with who you really are at this stage in life. You're 30 something years old, so really you should be trying to mellow out with all the novelty of it and be more into developing and cultivating a person. So yes, they have made good looks or good money and all that, but the thing about you have to spend time with one another, You have to give them the quality attention so you can, because you're already at a stage where you kind of semi-established within yourself, but you need to know how to deal with a person and the cyclical nature of relationships, So that requires you spending time with one another. You can't just be all making money all the time. You can't just be looking at each other all the time. You got to be able to deal with each other with the nuts and the bolts of relationships, Which means you have to learn how to communicate with one another and with yourself better, If you want to get a relationship that's sustainable, because after all, you're in and out of relationships and nothing has worked on it in an enduring time frame yet. So you have to get into the relationship right now. Because you're 30 something years old, moving towards 40 before you know it. And then you have to, it takes time and challenges to deal with things, and not just be so looking at the person on the outside. You look at the person more inwardly,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. With Sean, what are your thoughts too on this? The date with Vernicia and Gary.
Well, my thought is, I'm sure this show is heavily edited. Okay, I only heard two questions. Do you have any children? Yes, I have two children. Well, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm in transportation, plus I'm an influencer. And then
Mm-hmm.
Venetia comes back. Oh, he's saying a lot of good things. I think, hold on, wait. Saying a lot of good things though.
Well, we
He sounds like the type of man.
know it's edited down. And
This
those
is
dates are
it.
probably at least a couple of hours, but we get like
Right.
maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes
Like,
of it.
I said, okay.
Yeah, because she said
Now
he's a
did I miss
man's
something? I mean,
man,
I
and
just
I was
heard
like,
two
what?
questions. He's a man's man. I mean, how you gonna tell if a man he's a man's man? Just tell you he had two children of 15 and 14, and then he's in transportation. I mean, he must have laid some heavy stuff down in between time, and I still like they say with these old broad job titles, an influencer.
Right. Oh, and he does sports commentary.
Say what now?
So he does.
I mean,
Remember, he said Gary said he does sports commentary.
I mean, well, he can't. Okay. I mean, to say you're an
Are you over there
influencer, I
rolling
mean,
your
I
eyes?
guess that's the thing. Same thing. I guess that's the same thing like being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur of what? I mean, what is it? I mean, maybe I'm being too critical. I don't know.
Yeah, and speaking on that, this question is open for all three of you gentlemen. Don't you find it interesting that as soon as last episode, when Vernicia mentioned in her confession or her one-on-one with us that she has there's no cap on her earning, that she likes another maybe perhaps another entrepreneur, that they brought in an entrepreneur, but as I'm listening to this entrepreneur, I'm not getting the vibes that he's necessarily and it's not a point that he has to be wealthy, but I'm thinking for Venetia, for what she's talked about and how she feels about her lifestyle not being brought down but being the same or brought up even. I'm thinking that she wants someone that is very well to do. I don't know, maybe Mr. Mark. What do you think, JR?
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I was alluding to in my comments as well. Like the type of lifestyle that she can provide for herself. She's obviously in she's obviously looking for someone to add on rather than take a step back. And you know, it's not a very uncommon way of vetting a person. But I go back to what Calvin said. You know, the relationship's going to have many components to it. The financial aspect may be one that she prioritizes more than the others. But as an entrepreneur, you know, you go through ups and downs. It's not something where you can lay your hat on. In her case, you can, because she's in hairstyles, like hairdressing, things like that. You know, she's going to have a consistent customer base and things like that. As an influencer on the side of what he does for a living, you know, like you guys said, what does he actually influence? Is he doing food reviews? Is he doing gym stuff? Like, what is his actual niche as an entrepreneur? And is that sustainable to give her the lifestyle that she's looking for with her family that she brings? But again, I think it was a civil date, but you know, are they a match? Is there a perfect match yet? No, there isn't. So, you know, just depends on what she's prioritizing in terms of where she wants to go in the relationship.
Then it comes, they're both parents, they already have children. How you deal with your children. Exactly. How your relationship with your children is already established, and you have a pattern dealing with them. So, you know, I mean, you're entrepreneurs, you're working all the time, you have children. So a lot of things come into play that once you get together and start spending time with each other, that's more decisive than this moment. This is a precursor to relationship. But once you start to co-mingling and dealing with one another, how do you deal with each other and juggle everything at the same time? You know?
Mabel seems to have hit. Thank you for that. Exactly. How do you commingle lifestyles? And that is something that Mabel and you both are hitting on. Sean, you want to chime in on what is it like? Mabel is saying that she feels like as if Vernicia is just falling for another Joelle. What do you think about that, Sean? Could this fellow Jabari?
Anyway, I think
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
she
guys, make sure you're hitting the like button out there.
She mentioned in her confession that she wants to travel. So Jabari won't be able to do that. Jabari, I get the feeling Jabari is just a guy that probably never been outside of New Orleans. Probably. And Jabari doesn't probably ain't interested in seeing the world. That's why I get the feeling.
Right.
So
And
I think the kind of man that she wants is a man that's a cult. Yeah, I get the feeling she needs a man that's cultured, a man that wants to explore different places, want to go beyond his own backyard or what have you, and knows that the world is much bigger than wherever he may be. You know, and I don't know if Gary will be able to provide that for her as well. You know, if this is what she wants. You know, if this is what, unless she's just saying that just to be saying that, I don't know. I hope she's not, but you know, I think she's put a lot of time and investment into her children. Now it's time for her to invest in herself. But the choices that she's making are not lining up with what she wants to do for herself.
How so? Can you explain? Go a little further in detail into that.
Well, I know this is not a representation of every man in New Orleans or what have you, but once again, I go back to the same question with Ashley. What did Venetia do in between her ending of her season in Ready to Love, and now, what did she do? You know, she had another scornful relationship, just like Ashley did. You know, the only two that didn't have a scornful relationship ending were Sharice and Zadia, but Ashley and Venetia both had scornful relationships. Venetia said that 2 weeks after filming, Joe, and so what did she do in between the end of her filming and this show?
She's back on, so apparently something happened or didn't happen.
I don't know.
She's back on the show again, so looking for love again.
Yeah.
I just really like what Mabel says, because I've been concerned about this guy Jabari being another Joel, in that, and what I'm saying by another Joel, a guy who's a player from the Himalaya type of guy. We know from their first date, when she asked him, he said that he had been a player, but that he wasn't any longer. And she said, for how long? Maybe a few years. He seemed to agree. But I got the direct feeling that that was not really honest on his part. Like, so maybe it was a couple of weeks or a couple of days or something that he decided he wasn't going to be a player anymore. I'm not really sure, but I didn't get the sense of genuineness when he said that. And I'm very good, because I literally, back in the days when I was in the clubs, I literally could see a W on a guy's forehead when he was a player. I ain't gonna tell you what that W stand for, but the same thing that fellas like to call women, it goes both ways. So just think about it. But I'm just saying, I mean, like, nothing. I'm not mad at a guy. He wants to live his lifestyle that way, but I'm running out the other way from the guy that got that W on his forehead, because there is nothing attractive about a guy who is whorish. Nothing.
Right. But,
he's a Lothario.
But the problem is,
Lothario.
yeah, this is the problem though. Venetia doesn't have a problem with that, because she stated that she wants to go through the process and date multiples. Jabari was the one that said, well, I've locked in on you. So, when she made the comment about how she locked in early on the previous show, and she doesn't want to do that again, and she doesn't want to feel like a fool, basically. And he said, well, I've locked in on you. So does that make me a fool if I've locked in on you? And she said, keep your options open. So that means go and date around. And then if we have a connection, then we'll work. If not, she's dating around. She's not putting all her eggs in one basket either. So if he's a player or not, I mean, is she a player as well, because she wants to keep her options open and date? No, we're not calling her that. So I think, she's not really worried about that. But I do see some kind of mannerism, characteristics that are very similar to Joel in Jabari. They're both from the same area for a start.
Yeah, that part.
Speak with the same accent, right? Because they're both from the same area. Now, she may just be attracted to that southern, that mannerism, that characteristic. And I think this is also a case where if a lady likes someone more than she likes someone else, then she'll tolerate certain things more than she'll tolerate it from someone she isn't feeling at all. And, Jabari, she's given him a couple of lifelines now. So I think there is other things that she strongly likes about him that she's not prepared to let him go yet. Or maybe she's just waiting for someone who she better connects with.
That could be. I was going to say, we're going to get to that in a second, but I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're saying. And yeah, it does seem to be, it seems, she's talking out of both sides of her mouth, because she keeps saying that I got the power, but yet she still keeps picking Jabari. So how much power do you have if you're stuck in your choice that you made 4 weeks ago, and you said you weren't going to do the same thing you did with Joel? The first guy you see and you like, you pick him and you stick with him, no matter what red flags you see, no matter what things that you see are dissimilar to your lifestyle and what you want in your life for yourself. You still stick with that same person. Okay.
And that could very well be a self-esteem issue as well. That could very well be a self-esteem issue as well, because you could tell yourself that I don't deserve any better than this. because look at my life and what have you, and this is what I deserve right here, and you project that onto yourself, and you tend to attract this kind of man. Whether it be a Jabari, whether it be a Joel, or whether it be like a Kenneth and Shorty. I think Kenneth was from New Orleans as well. So I mean,
Oh, he was.
so yeah, so hey baby, listen baby, so that whole thing. I think this is whole dynamic again and again. It's a repetitive cycle, and a lot of men, believe it or not, a lot of men pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men pick up on that, and they tell you they want you to hear, and
What you want to
they
hear.
tell, because they see the void in you, and they'll play to that void.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men will. Yeah.
I agree with you, Sean. And to
I mean, just like
further
smooth talking Walter,
smooth talking Walter. And to add to your point, I'm going to come back to Calvin, because Calvin, you said something early on about patterns, and I think we were talking about Ashley at the time, but you said something about patterns. Could you expound on that just a little bit about patterns and how people have faulty patterns or negative patterns in their life, but they still stick with them? What is the reason why you think that is?
Well, you're in your comfort zone. You're in your comfort zone, and then you
Mm.
have to protect your feelings and your emotions, because, I mean, the experience. If a man is used to doing things a certain way, then for him, he can reconcile that all within himself. But when you think about it, the emotional attachment for a woman can be different, because how women are wired and physically made. It's a personal privilege attribute to be intimate with a woman. From her perspective, whereas a man may say, "Well, this is convenience,"
Mm.
But if you're looking for something, and you know that you have a tendency to be easy swayed, then you have to be protective of yourself, and because you can be moved by a man because your needs and all that, and where you are in your progression, so to speak. So if you tend to easily fall for a man because you need that security and comfort that to provide, and y'all here tired of being lonely or unattached, then you are vulnerable as a woman. So therefore, you have to protect yourself, but you still want to be a part of the process, but you don't want to be so vulnerable and feeling just discarded so easily. So the experience for women can be difficult, because there's so many. This is different. Not well. It seems like a different day, because men get what they want and they keep it moving, and women they need to be secure. They don't need to be discarded and to be casually treated. So it can
Exactly.
be hard on a woman here that's single and getting older, and then the odds start to work against this. They get to be 30, 35, soon be 40, so they may not be as marketable. So
Mm.
they have to look at making sure that they get more out of relationships now, not just being another discarded individual, and they're moving towards 30 and 35, and their marketability is diminishing.
Thank you for that, because that's a real thing. And if Ron were here, he would double down on what you're saying. I just want you
Yeah.
to know. And Ron will be back with us in a week or two. So for those of you who've been asking, check back with us next Sunday. Mabel says something once again. Mabel, you are really hitting a lot of the points. She says that she can't keep telling men that she's been a strong woman doing it all for herself and wearing that like it's a badge of honor. I absolutely agree, Mabel. And I think that we've got at least two women that I can think of off the top of my head. Vernicia's one, and Sharice is another one that has said on multiple dates with different men that, I'm tired. I've been doing it all by myself. I've been holding things up, and I need somebody to help me. I don't know if that's something I'm willing to dish out in my early uh premiere first few dates. That just me. And I know I'm gonna say this is an advanced process, an accelerated process, but you know what? That's a little bit too much vulnerability to me. And right now I'm in the point in my life, like these women, I want the soft life. And if you're not providing the soft life, we can't provide it together, then I'm not really sure what we're doing. We're probably not doing anything. So I get where the ladies are coming from, but back to Vernicia, Yeah, that strong woman doing it all by herself, um, maybe isn't the best tack to take with these men. And I don't know if it was you, Mabel, that said that someone else said that old Jabari may be looking for a
Well,
soft place to
sometimes,
lay his head.
yeah,
Go ahead.
true.
Hmm. Go ahead.
Place to live. Well, sometimes with some men, some men will pick up on a woman oversharing,
Yes.
and when some women overshare, and intentionally, because a lot of women speak from their emotions and out of their heart. You know,
Hmm.
when the Book of Proverbs said, "Guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life." And
Amen.
so, a lot of women speak out of that vulnerable place in their heart. When some men hear, okay, she needs rescuing, she needs help in this area, da da da. So I'm gonna tell her I'm gonna play to what she says she needs, and I'm gonna get in there, and then they show a little interest. Oh, he really cares about me because this is what I want. This is always what I wanted. This is what I wanted, and boom, now he in there. He's in there. Whereas a lot of us men, we don't talk from our heart most of the time. We talk from our head
Mm-mm.
most of them. That
Exactly.
because you ask that man about how is his day, he's not gonna be well. I feel. I feel. Most of us men don't care less about how we feel, how we feel. What have you. It's mostly the women. I'm not trying to be sexist or nothing like that, but it's just the way different sexes view things. Most women how I feel, most men what I think. And so when a man is approaching a woman, he's going to come from that philosophy. Some men, not all of us men, but he's going to come from that philosophy.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah. Anything you wanted to add, Jr. Before we move on from Vern? Any other observations?
Yeah. I mean, I think the Jabari connection again. I can see why there will be other things that have attracted her to make her want to keep him around. Um, I do also think that when he was asked about his finances, for example, which is what she really was trying to get at one point,
Mm-hmm.
he could have exaggerated. He could have done a whole Rashid and Simone and stuff, but he didn't. Right?
No,
He
he
kept
didn't.
it real and said, "Look, he's on a salary.
Well, baby, I'm broke. I'm broke, baby.
Exactly. He could have done all of that, but he gave her the realistic situation, and it's for then her to decide whether she wants to move on with him, and she's chosen him. So like at the end of the day, I think they're old enough and mature enough to realize they are not gonna meet their perfect guy that ticks all their boxes. If they do think that that guy is out there, he's not gonna be on the show. I'll tell you that now. But you're gonna have to pick the best of a bad bunch. You're gonna have to choose what's fundamental for you, like in terms of progressing into relationship, and what are your deal breakers. And
Yes,
you
that's
know,
true.
with Jabari, like I said, I can see similarities. So I guess I can kind of see why she likes him. The connection, the chemistry. He seems like a laid back guy that might complement her in a lot of areas. But ultimately, the fact that she wants to keep the doors open, as she should, because it's her process. This is where the ladies are in control of who they date and who they keep. The guys aren't sending anybody home. It's all about the ladies' choice, right? And Jabari has ticked most of the boxes so far. So as much as we may have our own views on how she should go about the process, she's basically deciding to stick with the guy that she's got the better connection with.
Good point. Good point. Someone in the chat, Mabel again, I guess is saying that Jabari may seem to be lustful. I'm just trying to figure out if he's lustful. How is he a keeper?
Mm.
I don't know. Because lustful to me indicates a person basically willing to be with anyone at any given time, because they live just like we were talking about Zadia. So let me make this comparison or this analogy. So some women live in their emotions only, or a large portion of their time, and there are a lot of men that live in their lust. So to me, both things are inadequate
Right.
to make the good decisions for partnership. If you're living in your lust as a man, you're just looking at who has the biggest whatever it is you happen to like, whatever body part, and you're basically objectifying women rather than seeing them as human beings and individuals. So same problem, a little slightly different, but it's the same analogy. You are not using logic, you're not using good partnership
You're
skills,
driven
and
by emotions.
you're driven by emotions, but of a sexual nature,
That's
right?
Of course,
So
and unfortunately, that's our burden to bear as men, because we are, we tend to prioritize other things more than the emotional connection straight away. We always will look for what we're attracted to first. Sometimes it's the physical, sometimes it's the personality more. That it does differ. It's not just about who has the biggest buns, the biggest thighs, the biggest, you know, that's not always the case. We
true.
don't always end up with baddies and IG models and all of that. No, sometimes we're attracted to other qualities that ladies have, and that supersedes some of the things that we may not usually find in other ladies. And in Jabari's case, he may be lustful and all of that, and that may be something that Venetia likes, because at the end of the day, if someone's complimenting you and telling you how much they're attracted to you, that should feel good coming from someone that you have a connection with or want to possibly have a relationship with. Like if you're so stuck up where you're like, this guy complimented me, he's a dog. He's always after the physical. He's only after the sexual. If you have that approach, you're gonna repel a lot of guys very quickly. Because I'm saying from a guy's perspective, we do see other things that you may have that are attractive outside of just the physical, but the physical is still something we prioritize more than ladies do a lot of the time.
And again, it's also a mindset from the guy's perspective too. What your perspective is and what you perceive. So it works for you or against you. But moving into the age bracket that they're in, it's time to make a different approach, because 35, then 40, 45, then 50. Where are you going to be if you're in this mindset now with women and having things based upon your own terms? Where will you be 5 years from now? And that's what you look at, not just now, but moving towards 40. Where will you be in terms of the quality relationships you have? Or if you're in this pattern, just everything is about you, are you really ready for love? As you get older, you may have 40 is different. I would think 40 is different in the dating game, because you start to diminish too as a guy in a lot of respects. You're not as smart as you was, so therefore you have to be fair
Calvin,
to your own self. Once you're in this mode, it's about me and I'm the thriller and vanilla.
Calvin,
that
right. Hey, Calvin, at 40-ish, as I was trying to tell Ron, it's also about the age between the 40s and 50, when most men go into that midlife crisis and kind of lose their minds.
Well, yes, because for one thing, you go through a different shift, because if all you have is a braggadocio mentality and you have had nothing sustainable, then you're looking at yourself, what have I really accomplished? I've accomplished certain things, but there could be an immense void in your own psyche, And you can be looking at yourself, what have I accomplished on a personal level? I have not have a tendency to be committed to nobody, not really to myself. I've done not just other people this service, but I've done my own self with this service,
And so thank you for that. We move forward to
what I think
go ahead, Sean, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, I think that to piggyback on Calvin's point, that the men are at an age that Calvin really answered the question, that the women are not dating for the potential of the man, because they feel like now by you get to this stage, you should be established. It goes back into my mind about a book by Hill Harper, Letters to a Young Brother. If you ever read the book Hill Harper, Letters to a Young Brother.
Yep.
He and Barack Obama went to school together.
That's
right. And Michelle Obama went with him when he had a little raggedy car.
That's right.
A little raggedy car. He had holes all in the floorboard and all that. But she saw the potential as to where he was going. Now, if he was at the age where he is now, she would not give him the time of day if he had a drove up, pulled up with a raggedy car, because she felt like he should be established by now. So a lot of women, I don't think, particularly these women on the show, are looking for a man that's trying to make his way up, that he should already be at that level per se, that they're trying to reach, what have you, not trying to get himself at that point.
But also a thing about
it ain't like we 20. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Also in your 40s, what if you lose your job?
I
mean, I'm saying, for example,
yeah,
at a certain stage,
true.
suppose you have to start over, and you may not have a certain oomph like you think you have to get there. You're trying to figure it out, and nobody gonna be bothered with you. You don't be bothered with yourself because you're too stuck on in gear. But you need somebody to give you that extra something to push you or hold you, prop you up. Because you could go through a point in time, as Steve Harvey said, we're going to make that that leap, and then you have to fill in the gaps along the way. You go through a cosmic shift within yourself at a certain stage, and you can need more than what you're getting out of life. That's not just material, but that's on an interpersonal level because of what's evolving inside. You need somebody to help navigate you through that process.
Well, I want to go back just a second to what Sean was saying. Sean, to your point, you made a very excellent point about Michelle then Robinson, who became later Michelle Obama, First Lady, and Barack Obama. But the thing of it is, though, too, the thing that she could see, and not taking away from any of his other characteristics, because I personally believe that Mr. Obama has the characteristics of integrity. He has a lot of good characteristics as a human being. But the other thing, though, too, he also was a trained attorney from Harvard Law School, top of his class. So the fact that he was driving around in a rusty old car didn't refute the fact that in this country, having a law degree from the highest university, Harvard University, he's going to be successful. 9 out of 10, he would just have to lie down and never go to work to not be successful in this country with that degree that he held, right? So, and she saw that he was ambitious. She saw that he wanted to make a change and a difference in the world. They kind of, I think the thing about them is they're kind of different in that she was career driven and earning $300,000-$400,000 a year in Chicago, well before he was, because he was doing community work. And that was also something that here in this country the Republicans used against him. He's a community organizer. Well, yeah, but he's also much more than that too. They were simplifying that case. But just to your point, though, of looking at what his potential is, he had potential. He had more than potential. He had actually accomplished and achieved certain things. So you could tick off the fact that he's a Harvard educated lawyer. So, but we're gonna move on. So, getting to Sharice. So, this is a scene where, and we ain't gonna spend too much time on this one, but Sharice comes out the house to apologize to Zadia, and I mean, like, I feel like I'm in Groundhog's Day. Like, can we let this go? And neither one of these ladies, and guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, in my humble opinion, both Zadia and Sharice lack the ability to forgive and move forward. I don't say forgive and forget, but I say forgive and move forward. And neither of them know how to give an apology without delving back into what happened and what you said and what hurt my feelings. No, let that go. Say, I apologize. I'm willing to let's try to be friends and move forward, and drop all that other stuff. You can eat that up on the inside. Work that out with yourself and quit trying to be like high school girls on the schoolyard. I'm so sick of them. I'm so sick of these 30 plus women acting like they're 15.
Yes.
So we move forward from that,
Because they're not guarded just against men, but they're guarded in themselves.
Yes, thank you. And
They're
you know
guarded in
what? And thank
themselves,
you
and
for
so they
that,
don't
Sean,
trust their
because
emotions to be able.
yes, thank you for that, Sean, because you know what? That's exactly what I see. The problems they're having with each other is also the problems that both of them are having. Sharice is having a hard time talking to Maurice or anybody else. She's having a hard time sharing who she really is with all of her other dates, not just Maurice. And the same thing with Zadia. Zadia is rude, and she's not really given a whole lot, but like, you know, given this sense of misentitlement princess that I'm so pretty. Like, you two need to get over yourselves. I'm sorry.
But they're also in the presence of relationship expert that they're not utilizing apparently.
That's
and
true.
then, you know, just the way I think, when you're around a bunch of people that are great thinkers, utilize it as an opportunity to create a think tank, you know. So you have to be strategic about you're moving into a critical area in your life where you're 30, 35, soon be 40. What can you do to bring closure to your dating challenges? You know, how could you make yourself more marked when you spend the time together, being more in a confrontational attack mode instead of being strategic? That does not make sense. You're in a household with people that have the same basic need, but yes, you just wasting your time. But like they said earlier, you should spend this time on how to get a man instead of how you get at one another, you know? And again, you have a relationship expert there, and you're not utilizing your resources at it, you know?
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Well, I think this is something that I saw coming. Like these two volatile elements, they will continue to clash the more they're around each other. I think you know, their beef, it could have been squashed, but you know, they're both culpable of letting it run as long as it has. I still think Sharice's apology was kind of staged. I'm not sure if she entirely meant it because it came with a lot of, but I think this and you know, there's too much of that. So it didn't seem genuine. And as we mentioned earlier, the way she came into the room and tried to butter her up, it didn't sound like something Sharice actually wanted to say. It sounded very scripted and prompted. So, you know, I think the best thing they can do is to try and just agree to be amicable and put it in the past. But as I said, I feel like they hold grudges and they'll continue to use it to scold the other person, you know, to get one up on each other. When the show's not about that, the show's about finding a connection. And you know, if they spend too much time talking about this issue, it's going to really detract from the chemistry in the house between the ladies, and it may cause divisions and more fights may break out. So I hope they do nip it in the bud and realign their focus onto finding their potential partners.
That's right. That's more practical.
Well, that's just now until the reunion comes out. You know, that's just now until
Next,
the reunion comes out. Well, I ain't never liked you anyway, so I ain't never like you anyway.
Exactly. That's all we need.
Okay, because we can move beyond.
I ain't never like you.
If we choose to.
Next, it seems that Zadia has requested to have a date with Ramon, and so they go to the pool hall. Ramon, if we recall, is the retired basketball player. I believe he went out with one of the other ladies. I don't know if anybody remembers who he went out with, but apparently Zadia saw Bernicia, yes.
Bernicia.
Apparently, Zadia saw his tall frame and his athleticism and his muscles, and so she requested for Tamika to set up a date. So she did at the pool hall. And Zadia lets us know that she loves to climb a tall tree. And I'm sitting over here scratching my head going, but what about Cameron? I'm confused. But that comes up quite a bit on this episode. I get confused quite a bit. Ramon says that he's a country boy and that he also has 17 cats. What did you guys think of this date and Zadia not wanting to teach him how to instruct him on how to play pool a little better?
Well, Zadia is a type of woman to me.
Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Calvin. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I insist.
Go ahead, Calvin. Oh, well, Zadia to me is the type of woman. Zadia does not know how to become emotionally intimate with a man.
Right.
Zadia, I mean, she does not know how to cater to a man, flirtatious nature. He said, "Well, look, you can put your arm around my waist." She said, "I will not do that." You know,
Right.
And
I was like,
so, I
what?
mean,
How you gonna climb the tree without putting your arm
she,
around
she,
his waist,
I
girl?
mean, yeah, yeah, and I think she was the H word. I don't know if you can say that word on YouTube. What
Yeah, be
the
careful.
horns and the Y on the end. You know,
Oh,
yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right? The eight horns and the Y on the end.
Yeah.
So I think
Kind of
that's what she is.
lustful.
When she's climbing the tree, lustful. So because I think she wanted to just blow the dust off the shells a little bit. But uh, she gets me that she wants a man to tell her how beautiful she is, but she doesn't want to reciprocate. She never reciprocates.
Nope.
She doesn't
And most of
reciprocate.
the time,
She does
let me
not
cut
let a
you
man
off.
into that space in her life.
And most of the time, not to cut you off, Sean, but most of the time, she doesn't even, I've noticed she doesn't even say thank you for the compliments or I appreciate that or anything like most of us would respond to a compliment back with something. It's like it's so rude.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
she
mean,
putting up barriers, like you said. Maybe she only want to be comfortable and on a certain level, but another level, it makes her uncomfortable to be submissive, so to speak. Um, and shooting pool, there's a certain level of um, attack when you're showing a person how to shoot pool, you can get each other personal
Mhm.
space and all that. But a person has to be
That was where I got
receptive.
my first kiss, Calvin.
That's
Shoot,
what I'm
shooting
saying. That's what
pool.
I'm saying. It can be very
That's very
inviting.
physical.
It is, because you're showing a person how to hold the stick and
mm,
shoot. So it can be very
Mhm.
personal. But if you're a
Turn that
controlling
fan on high
person,
over there.
if you're trying to control a person, then it's like when you in a personal relationship with somebody, you have to allow yourself to be a part of the process freely. So you have to be patient with a person and in tune with them and their needs. But if you have some issues with intimacy and insecurity, you need a lot of reassurance to let that barriers down. And then, you want to be comfortable with the role instead of giving so much, but then the person rejecting you or just discarding you. I use that because sometimes people have hypersensitive to that nature because of how their past relationship has been. So you
Mm.
got to be able to allow any person a space without feeling so vulnerable.
Hmm. Well, I'll say something that you guys haven't really mentioned. In fact, you haven't mentioned at all.
Okay.
Listen, 17 cats is 17 cats too many. All right.
Oh, wait a minute
Yeah.
now. As a person that is a feline mom, wait a minute.
Mhm.
How you gonna say 17? You can't
Yeah.
just take out like 15 or 14. You gonna
Mhm.
say that all 17 are too
Mhm.
many?
All 17 got to go. Yeah. And because
Hater,
the thing is,
hater.
unless he's running a cat sanctuary or some type of rescue for neighborhood stray cats or something like that,
Mhm.
you don't need that many cats. That's too obsessive. And you're talking about going on a dating show where these ladies are trying to
Mhm.
um, you know, get into a serious relationship and potentially move to your house or move to the area. How are you going to ship 17 cats to the new house? Or how are you going to allow this lady to come in with her furniture, clothing, items, and
17 wigs, you said.
yeah, 17 wigs
Oh
with
yeah, that
17
cat would
cats?
have a field day with those wigs.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, he's gonna have to make some adaptations if he's gonna find anybody.
But the
Because that,
cats I take it on the outside more so than inside, though.
yeah, but
And maybe it's not 17 cats, maybe it is.
that's true. But you got cats, you got fur balls, you got hair all
Mhm.
over the place, you got the smell of cat, you got cat food,
Mhm.
you got kitty litter, you got too much going on in that house. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Mm.
mm,
Oh wow. Well, that's true. So guys, thank you for helping me with that date.
Mhm.
I think that I guess she had to try something different to kind of compare and contrast with her guy, her keeper, Cameron.
Mhm.
Um, so let me see here. Where am I at in my notes? I will say that so we know
Mm-hmm.
that's Kirsten. I'm so confused here. Oh, next we see Ashley, who meets up with Justin, who's 35 and the director of hospitality at a major hotel there in New Orleans. And he has a great smile, according to Ashley, because she's all in his teeth and she's busy telling him how beautiful his teeth are.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
your mouth. I mean, your mouth.
I'm like, okay, all right, all
Yeah.
right. Justin, he to his good nature, he seems to take it all in stride, and he also lets Ashley know that he's very family oriented, and he seems to talk about that he's very intentional about finding his lifetime partner, his long-term partner. So, what did you make, Sean, of this date? What did you make of Ashley and Justin with the perfect smile?
Mm-hmm.
Here she goes with the extra drama again. Oh, I'm all in your mouth. Oh God, I see you. Oh God, have mercy. Come on now. Look, pipe down. And I think that's just the representative come out first. Then next thing you know, the emotionally insecure Ashley will come out. So it's kind of like, this one leads into that. It's because she was the same way with Donald at first, and then it said the same way with
Mm-hmm.
Kirsten. Now she's the same way with Justin. So I mean,
Justin, yeah. So is that
same
kind
script,
of
different cast. Yeah, same script, different cast.
yes? So is that do you feel like that's kind of something that she uses? It's almost like
A template.
a template, right?
Personality cover up.
A cover up,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Template,
that's more what I
template,
was
Calvin
looking
said.
for. Some.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Thank you for that, Calvin. What do you have to say about this day with Ashley, as she describes his perfect teeth?
Well, interesting because again, um, she's 35, right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
35 going to 40.
Yeah.
So I would say that you've been dating up close and personal for at least 20 years, So at a certain
Mm-hmm.
stage, when you look at a person's dating profile and their um, win or losses, so to speak, why have you been in any sustainable commitment for an extended period of time? And if not, why not? For the males and the females, so at 35, you had at least you had a extended period of time of dating. So if you're not into long-term relationship that it's been at least 5 years, and it's something that you have to question, not just about somebody else, but about yourself. Again, you're in a dating scenario with a dating coach, so therefore, pay attention to you more than what you do. Don't just try to be so enticing to somebody else. Look at yourself a little bit more close and personal. Then look at the
Mm.
pattern that you're both in. That's for all parties involved. Because if you're at a certain stage and you have not had a long-term sustainable relationship, what is it about you? And be fair as best as you can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because the challenges don't get any better as you start to get 40 plus, Then you move
No, it
into another
don't.
spectrum altogether. Because
And you.
you're dating people that had different jobs, different family dynamics, different people that have been in and out their life. You may have children. And if you don't have children, why don't you have children? Stuff like that comes into play.
Mm. Thank you for that, Jr. What is your takeaway on this?
I think the attempts to flirt, I think her version of flirting is basically just, doing as little as possible because she's used to people finding her very attractive. So just a smile or the way she dresses, she's used to getting those type of compliments. In terms of reciprocating compliments, she may not be used to it, but I guess she's trying, right? She's complimenting the guy on his teeth. It could have been a lot worse, but then again, there could have been more. I think she's just uncomfortable being vulnerable enough to be in that space. And, um, she is old enough to have more dating experience, but really, age isn't really a good gauge for that, because some people are more introvert or more career driven, so they don't make a lot of time, haven't made a lot of time for dating and getting to know how to compliment and how men work and how to reciprocate energy and all of that. If she's been by herself for a long time, she's usually been in her own echo chamber, so she hasn't really had to learn how to compliment people and get along like that. But again, this guy seemed like a cool dude,
He
but
did. He did.
but I just didn't see a match there at all
No.
between.
Mm-mm. No, I'm with you, JR. I agree with you. And good points, very excellent points that you brought out. Justin does ask her for her number, and she's excited about that. So I'm assuming that they exchange numbers. But my thought immediately after that was, well, now you got to call her every day. You got to make sure that she gets your call, or else it's going to be a wrap.
Mhm.
So because she lives in her emotions. So, but next we see Sharice. Sharice, and this is interesting because, like I said, turn that fan up on high. Sharice gets to meet a successful black single guy named Keith, who is 50 and fine, 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 fine. Did I say fine, y'all? He fine.
I think I
He's
heard you.
tall. He's tall. He's dark. He's handsome. He's a master barber. And he also, besides just the outside looking good, he opens his mouth and he's saying, some really deep things. Like, he seems to be really self-reflective to what Calvin has been telling us all this podcast, is that, we must look within. This guy has done the work. He seems self-reflective and he seems to be self-aware. And I'm thinking to myself, now this is who Sharice really needs, so that he can maybe help her to reflect upon herself and how she moves in this world of dating and relationships. So I'll give it over to you, Calvin, and you tell me, what did you make of this date with the master barber?
Well, he
Oxygen bar.
stylist. And he verbalized insight to the fact that it wasn't always the other person. It's also some challenges that he had as to why he's not married.
Yes.
And that's important because he's 50 years old.
Yes.
At 50 years old, and you're not married. Has he been married? I'm not certain. You really have to look at yourself up.
No, he said we're engaged.
Huh? He's been engaged before?
He said he's been engaged.
But I'm saying, your concept of relationship should be on altogether different level, at 50 years old, because you have had an extended period of time to date people and to get to know what a relationship is and what it's not, and the role that you have played or haven't played, and getting the quality of relationship that you should have had by 50, because it's things you need at 50 that you didn't need at 40 or 30, The person you are right now, you're looking at yourself, direction you're going to be in the next 10 or 15 years. Yes. So you should be thinking about the definitive life partner in another way altogether. Because the other stuff, that's just don't fizzle away, So right now, you need somebody that's going to help you develop yourself for the person that you are right here, right now, You're not that person that you was in your 30s, and you a different person at 50, because you're moving towards in 65, we can be at 65, But that person at 65 years old begins right now, So looking at yourself, what is it that you really, really need to change about you? And you need somebody that's going to help you become that person.
All right, Calvin. Thank you for that. We're going to move over to Sean. Sean, what's your take on this? Did Sharice and this guy seem to hit it off? Is Maurice in danger of losing his lady?
No. I think aesthetically, Sharice and what's his name? What's the guy name? The barber stylist. What's his name?
Keith.
They could do
His name is
well.
Keith.
Keith, yeah, they could do well together because, she's an esthetician and he's a stylist, and so women can get their hair done and they can get their facials and all that. If they can combine resources. However, I think Sharice likes more money. I think she's attracted to the lawyer, thinking that he's this high-powered lawyer, and I think that's what she's after. The the Louis Vuitton slippers, and this guy's kind of plain. He's kind of plain. He's established, but he's kind of plain.
But
He's
didn't
not as
know he had
flashy.
children? Didn't he have
Sharice
children?
is a flashy person, I think.
You picked up on the same thing I picked up on, because I thought, wow, if they were to
Well, I
get
mean,
together and it worked out,
she's
they
willing
could
to
combine
overlook.
resources.
She's willing to overlook that.
Mm-hmm.
She's willing to overlook that with Maurice because he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer. Had he been any other profession and had children, just like the guy with the vest, something had to be something.
Yeah.
This guy probably got an 850 credit score. You never know. We don't know.
Yeah.
What have you. But because this guy's a lawyer and he's got children, she'll overlook that. She'll overlook that. She asked the question, where does she fit in? I mean, the man's youngest child is 21, but she didn't ask any other further question than that. But because he's a lawyer, I don't think she's really feeling. I mean, I think she's engaged with Keith as far as the dialogue is concerned. But as far as something long term, I don't know. I mean, just me. I said, "Oh, I'm older than this brother. This brother's 50 years old. I'm older than this brother." Dang, ooh.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Wait. What do you mean by what do you mean by that? What was the comparison there about the age? I'm lost.
I just thought the brother was a little bit older than 50. That's all. He looked a little bit older to me. And he said he was 50. I mean, I can't dispute it. That's his truth. I don't know.
He's not using that hair dye on that beautiful salt and pepper hair of his. I love it. I love it.
So not hitting the Beijing.
Yeah, you're not using that Beijing.
So,
exactly. You're not doing one of those Magic Mike numbers from Miami with the Magic Mike.
There you go. Yeah, he's an established brother. But I don't see it beyond that because I think Sharice is a little bit too flashy for that for him.
Mabel, you are hitting all the points tonight, girl. Where have you been? You got to come in our chat every week. Mabel says that the brother Keith.
He'd be a better match for Vern. Yeah,
he might have been a better match for Vern. That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
Of course.
Let's hear from JR.
JR, that is. I didn't think about that. I forgot all about Vernicia, the stylist, and
Right. And he is an entrepreneur, like what she says she wants. Someone without any caps on their earning potential. Go ahead, JR.
Yeah, I think Sharice, one of the things she's consistently mentioned is the communication aspect. So, sitting down having a conversation with this gentleman, she immediately felt like he did most of the talking. He was vulnerable. He opened up. He was quite expressive about his goals going forward and how his thinking process is. And I think that instantly gave him a lot of points in his favor. However, I see more of an aesthetic connection with the lawyer. And I also think, yes, she is definitely going to be interested in him being a high earning dating candidate. And you don't see many broke lawyers. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one. So, that lifestyle aspect, financial aspect is also a big tick for him. And, a lot of people saying he's dry and he doesn't say much. Well, not everybody talks a lot. And some people are really into their food. And if you're not giving any conversation back, then like if the food's good and your conversation skills are weak, then what is he supposed to do? Like, he's not a big talker. You're waiting for him to talk and the food's there. Listen, I'm choosing the food. I'm sorry. I ain't got time for you to interrogate me and I'm missing out on my meal. But yeah, so I think there was a good conversation because the guy was leading the conversation. Sharice really likes that. And that, again, we've touched on it previously. I don't necessarily think she has the depth to really hold a conversation. She's much more about feelings, how you made her feel, and she's going to pull you up on some of the things that you've said when you express things about what your goals in your future are. It's pretty much setting you up for an interrogation of sorts. That seems to be her style of vetting people. But, you know, like I said, the lawyer, I think they match physically, and I think the lifestyle that he can provide would be very interesting for her.
Yes. And you know, somebody asked it out in the chat, because I was wondering this too. I wasn't sure whether or not they mentioned that this gentleman, Keith the Master Barber, whether he had any children or not, because we know that that's also a very big deal with Sharice. But Jay, I want to ask you this question. Why do you think that Sharice will complain about the lack of Maurice talking to her, and yet she still continues to keep him around? Why does she do that?
Man, like I said, she likes his job. She probably likes his mannerisms. He's probably easy on the eye. So, you know, there are some other aspects that she values in him. But again, I think with Sharice, the less you say to her, the better, because the more you speak, the more likely it's going to lead into a confrontation or a situation where you're being interrogated. I don't think she could be with somebody who is an over talker for too long, because I think she will see him as trying to take all of her shine, or always talking about himself, or being conceited, and she'll start to use those type of weapons against him.
That's a good point. She maybe needs somebody that is kind of laid back and less on the
can
words.
I say something?
And no, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sean, go ahead.
Sharice, Vernicia will understand what Keith does for a living because they're in the same field. And I forgot all about Venetia being a stylist as well. So I mean, they could work probably better together and not be in competition with each other. Whereas I get the feeling Sharice will be insecure, and you got all these women clients. I know you got to be messing with somebody. I know, you know, that's why I got the feeling that, you know, that it will not be enough time made for her, quote unquote, per se. And I think, really, to tell you the truth, that Keith could be Venetia's ticket into New Orleans. Keith could, I mean,
wait a minute,
if you're talking about moving
again
from Houston to New Orleans, Keith could be Venetia's ticket to move into New Orleans because they're in the same field. Yeah,
okay, I see.
Yeah. I mean, instead of having to go look for another shop, do you have space in your shop that I could start out with, and we can expand business?
That could work. And you know, they could even take it further and have a couple's barbershop, hairdresser, salon where husband and wife can go and get groomed and all those type of things. But
I like it.
I think also Sharice, being an esthetician, she's also in the beauty business, right? She's also in the business of making people look good and all that other stuff. But the earnings that she makes, her clients are probably going to be far more high end, because a lot of money spent on those type of treatments. Whereas barbershop, you're spending $10-20 on a haircut. So
not anymore. Not anymore.
No.
My son go get his haircut.
Where?
How much is a haircut? How much is a haircut in the States?
Those are, you talking about the 1990s, dear.
1990s. So inflation driven the price of haircuts through the roof. How much a haircut?
$40-$50.
Yes, it has.
$40-$50 for a haircut.
Don't mess around and get a shave. Don't mess around and get a shave. Don't mess around and have to get a shave if you're a man.
And if I get a shave, it's more than that.
If you get a shave, that's gonna be an extra $10.
Listen, you guys are getting robbed. You're getting robbed.
I say so too. I'm with you, but I'm a woman. I don't get haircuts. But I'm telling you, I can recall taking my son to the barber, And it used to be what you're saying, to your point, JR, but those are 1990 prices, because now it's like
Okay.
50 for, like Calvin said, $45, $50.
What?
Don't go to no upscale place where, like, maybe you want to go someplace real upscale or
Don't
whatever.
go to a stylist, okay?
A stylist or something like
There
that,
you
because now
go.
you're talking $75. No,
And
it's
and
not. It's not
donuts,
$15. No.
donuts for the patterns and the side partings and things like that. I get it, but the thing is, like, are tips included in that? Because
No,
what?
no.
What?
No,
Your tip is your tip is on top of that. So then that's another $10, $15 extra.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you
And
get
you
it.
have to
and okay, and have our appointment, and that's the other thing. And to get a bald head is much more expensive than getting a fade.
Oh my gosh! So listen, you can probably buy your own set of clippers for the price of 2 haircuts and do it yourself.
Thank you.
That's right.
And have
That's
a
what
nice
I do.
day.
There you go. That's it.
Don't let the missus do it though, because she'll probably put the
I
bowl
sure
over your
did,
head
man.
and just trim around that.
The missus will put a bowl over your
Yeah.
head.
And trim around the sides.
Get a bowl cut.
Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Get around the bowl cut.
Roro has an announcement to make. She says most barbers today are now content creators. Really?
Which is true. Yeah, which is true, because they have to showcase their wares. And, when people see images of haircuts that they like, they can then take it to their own barbers and say, listen, I want this trim, right?
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
It's another revenue stream. It's a way of advertising their work. And giving tutorials as well, teaching people how to cut hair. You got some who will show you what clippers to use, how to style, how to do different things. So yeah, a lot of them are going into content creation, because again, it's about looking good, making your clients look good.
Oh, okay. Okay, Roro is letting me know what the real is, because she does have 2 adult sons, and she said that her sons told her about that the barbers are content creators, and that makes sense to what you guys are saying. Yeah, because they're showing what they do and how they do it, and so forth and so on. That makes perfect sense. I had not thought about that, guys. That's wow. You know what? That C19 changed a lot of things, didn't it?
Well, think about it. Each person. Yeah. But think about it like this: each person is a walking billboard. Hey man, I like your cut. Where you get your cut, man? Well, I got it over at X, Y, and Z barbershop. You're a walking billboard.
That's right.
Right.
You're walking. You're advertising. Just like just like what's the first thing you notice about a car when you pull up behind a car? Oh, where you got that car from? They got the car dealership name right on the back of the car. I take the stuff off. I say I ain't give you no free advertisement for that car.
I know. I've always hated that too. Like, why do you get to stick your name on my car?
And let's be real, word of mouth is the best selling. Word of mouth is the best way to sell and advertise your business.
That's it.
Absolutely. But guys, we get
can
to
make you or break you. It can make you or break you.
We got to move forward, guys. Vern and her guy Jabari. Speaking of Vern, and speaking of, because we're talking about her and this other guy possibly being a good match. But Vern and her keeper Jabari from way back 4 weeks ago. She's still with Jabari, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with Jabari, but they meet up at a wine bar to do the wine tasting, right? Okay. Vern tells us that she won't repeat her mistakes of the past, but I'm just kind of wondering, will she? Because she's still with the same guy, and the things that she's pointing out that she doesn't like. But I guess, though, to her point, maybe she hasn't met anybody that better feels her needs, so she's sticking with him, and they seem to vibe together. So okay, guys, what do you think? JR, what do you think about Vern and her guy Jabari and this wine tasting date?
Well, I think now thinking about it, I think he could be a placeholder. I think she could just be holding him there. She knows there's a connection there. She can just keep him around. She told him she wants to go through the process. So if she meets someone better, then no hard feelings. We connected, but I've met someone better. And if she doesn't meet someone, then I've always had Jabari in my back pocket. So, but yeah, again, it's a connection that I think has a level of physical attraction.
Oh yeah.
Personality as well. And she seems very comfortable around him, comfortable enough to reveal what her game plan is going through the show. and you know, he may have a problem with her dating multiples, but that's the process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he's just an ace card in her back pocket if everything else fails.
Okay. Okay. And guys, this is the part where I said I wanted to bring this into play. So we hear the women talking in various points and times in this episode, but I'm going to start here. Well, the women are talking about this power dynamic that they have, that they're in control, that they get to do the picking, they're in a powerful position. Do you agree, JR, that the women solely have all the power and control?
Yeah, because ultimately the bottom line is do they want to keep those guys around every week, or do they want to keep the keeper, right? They have the option, they have the power and the control. The guys, this isn't the typical ready to love format where one week the guys eliminate the ladies, next week the ladies eliminate the guys. There's none of that. It's all about who the ladies are connecting with and feeling, and if they're not feeling you, they're going to get rid of you. You only have maybe a couple of dates to make a first impression, and then after that they're making a decision and you're going home. So I think the women have the power.
And in a broader sense,
Yeah,
in the real
true.
world, is it just women that have the power and the control in dating?
um there is a certain amount of power that
Uh,
you have, and I'll say because
women have,
ultimately
yeah.
if a guy's interested in you and wants to date you, then you have the power to say yes or no, whether you're feeling him or not. So you have a lot of power to determine how far it goes. But ultimately, it's a joint decision on how your relationship's going to work. There's reciprocity. There's both parties' feelings and thoughts and goals and aspirations to be considered, as well as the attraction level. So many different factors. So I think initially, yes, because if a girl's not feeling you, she's not going to give you the time of day. And we as men know that we're used to getting rejected once in a while, and so it comes with the territory. We don't end up with every girl that we're attracted to. But so I think there is a large amount of control and power you have in real life dating out here in the real world, and it's how you use that power that determines your dating trajectory.
Yeah.
Okay, very
I,
good
I
point.
like what D
Well, I
said.
think, yeah.
Even though they choose to date somebody or embrace somebody, they're still influenced by their emotions and what their needs are. Even though you're attracted to that guy based upon what you feel you can get out of the situation for your own security, emotional attachment, and the guy that you feel most comfortable with. But guys still have options. It goes both ways. Because if it's not going to work, if just because the person say no, somebody else is going to say yes.
Exactly.
Somebody else going to say yes, and the person say yes. That's the person that's good for you, but will you be good for that person? So it always balances it out in the long run. Even though you can date somebody, are you committed to them? That's a choice that's really based upon where you both are and what you're both getting out of the situation. Because you still have to be committed to that person. Because even if you get them, you keep them or not. That's your choice.
That's a good point. I like that. I like what you're saying. I absolutely agree. Sean, you want to weigh in?
Well, I think this is not pre 1973 America. And the reason why I say that is because a man can proceed no further than a woman's permission legally. And pre 1973, it was not a crime for a man to assault a woman, with the R word, per se. And it was basically because women were seen as property of men, even in marriage. The Supreme Court didn't even recognize it. So the case that marital R takes place. And so
Okay,
I
that's
think
that's
women have
true.
a considerable dynamic in this relationship, per se. And so the idea about the rejection, it's not the man rejecting the woman, but it's about the women rejecting the man. And however, with this issue, the man can double back if another woman chooses that guy. So, you know, it's still really not even an even playing field per se, quote unquote, where men and women have equal power. I think the majority of power on this show resides with the women, but in society, I don't know. Just depends on how the relationship dynamics play out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. My feline is rolling his eyes at JR right now. He didn't like that. He didn't like that comment you had earlier, JR. JR says he doesn't care. Okay, but as we progress and move forward, I thought that this was just an
Tell your Tabby to
interesting.
behave.
Right. I thought this was an interesting question because I felt like throughout this episode, one or two of the women got a little cocky with their a power that they were talking about. I've got the power. I get to control things. And to your point, Sean, I feel like, yeah, you have the power to keep the guy or ask him to stay. But like you said, much to the way things used to work with women, that man still has the right to say yay or nay. And so he may not choose you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so back to Jabari. Jabari says that he has been prioritizing Vern and dating her, and he wants to know, you know, what she's doing. But she does tell him that he's going to have to wait until the process is completed, because she's not willing to commit to him, and that if he were to ask her, she would probably say no. So I think that that's a prerogative, and I do think that since he signed up for a dating show, he should understand and respect her process.
Of course, 25 men, 4 women. Of course, you're gonna be dating.
Yeah.
Like,
And I just don't know why they didn't put that.
Well, let me ask you this, Aubrey. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
go ahead,
I
Sean.
think, I mean, to me, now I don't know how this show is set up. I don't know how the show is set up. I don't know whether the producers choose the dates or the people who they want to see choose the dates. If I was a woman, which I'm glad, I love being a man, I would not just want to go to a wine tasting. I think, you know, I mean, come on now. I mean, and yeah, I mean, come on now. Jabari takes, if he does the date, Jabari takes Venetia on the most minimal dates, the most minimally amount spent. I'm sure it wasn't that much money to spend for a wine tasting per se. I mean, I think that's like a cultural event per se that you would dress up with and go to. You know, I mean, it's not like a date like the date between Maurice and Sharice. You know, when they went out to the restaurant, nice exclusive restaurant, what have you. I can't see Jabari taking Venetia somewhere like that because of his minimalist lifestyle. You know, and but just to take this woman to a wine tasting, you know, potential to get drunk almost. You know, you tasted all these wines. You know. This
Well,
was
now
bitter,
I know you've been to wine tastings and
you
you realize that you only sip and then you actually
Spit
have
it out.
the
You
spitter.
see, but yeah, some people don't have a high tolerance. Some people don't have that high
drink it, but
tolerance.
that's not technically that's not the way that goes. It's not the way it's normally done. But to your
Yeah.
point, I think you brought up something that I've talked about. We talked about on previous episodes, JR and Calvin and I, and that is that, you know, Vern seems to indicate that she has a certain lifestyle. Now, what that lifestyle is, I don't know. I think you go over to her IG, you see that she does like to go out. She does like to dress up. So maybe that's part of her lifestyle. And, you know, to your point, what you're saying, Sean, maybe this man will not take her to the classy joints that she wants to go to. I don't know if that's, you know, if that's a thing or not. But what can she do? What can she do? What can he do? I mean, where has that gotten her thus far?
Yeah, but you know, when we're talking about these dates,
true.
how many extravagant dates have we seen? We've seen going to the pool hall. We've seen, you know, we've seen.
Well, pool hall.
Yeah, come on, that's not a
Pool
luxurious
hall
date.
picnics and
Exactly.
Hold up, Sean.
So yeah, like if you're asking for these guys to spend money, I think most of these dates are production
Yes.
foot the bill for them and choose the location probably.
Yes.
So, realistically, are these guys going to come out their pocket? No. Even the lawyer guy, if
Wow.
he is affluent, he's mainly in salads. He's taking her to Olive Tree or Olive Garden or whatever that's called, and having meals there. So, like, we can't really see an example of how much these guys are willing to splash on dates at this moment in time.
That's a good point. And then I guess here's a question for you men. So how much dating will go on and continue? And is dating, I guess, I know married couples that go out on weekly dates or bi-weekly dates or monthly dates, but how much of dating and how long does a man date a woman until, let's say, the point where they have both agreed mutually that they're in an exclusive relationship? How much of that dating moves over to Netflix and chill? I'm at his house, he's at my house. We begin to start merging things. I mean, like, how much of this dating is going to be taking place, let's say after 6 months when we've decided to be exclusive? How much of that is really going to occur? You guys tell
Hey,
me.
I might invite you over my house the first night. I might invite you over my house the first
No,
night.
I'm
Not
not
saying
coming
something
over
will
your
go
house
down.
the first night.
Whereas,
Well, shout out. Good luck
where,
with that. Some women will do it, but I don't invite me over your
what I'm
house on the
saying when I
first
mean the
date.
first night, I don't mean the first night. What I'm saying is that I might feel that comfortable with you after we talk together.
Ooh, he see how I'm
After we
rolling
talk to
my
each
eyes
other,
over here.
I'm just
No,
saying
no,
that.
no.
I'm not saying anything gonna go down.
I know I won't, because I won't be there. You be there,
But
just
I
you,
mean,
yourself, and you.
I think the woman's level of I think
Take your time.
I think the woman's level of comfortability is different than a
Take your
man.
time.
You say what now? When you say what now?
Take
You
your time.
lost
Take your time,
you
preacher.
lost
Take
me.
your time, preacher. Take your time.
You lost me on you
So,
invite me over on the first date, but go
I'm
ahead.
not. I'm just.
Take your time, brothers.
I'm just saying that hypothetically,
Woosah.
some men invite a woman over the first date. Some men will
Absolutely.
do that. Some men will do that with nothing in expectation. With nothing in expectation. However,
Know
a
about that
woman
part.
sometimes may think like, no, he gonna invite me over the first night, man. I mean, he must want something. Whereas sometimes some women, it might take you 3 months before you even get to know where she lives. I just meet you wherever,
Ooh, child.
what have you. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's a matter of perspective and how you
So
and how
I
that
don't know.
person, how you make
It's my
each other
perspective.
feel. That's how you make each other feel. Because if you feel a person is sincere in their intentions and you got your conversation going in a certain way where you feel that this person you want to spend more time with, and as it progresses, you'll know if it's something worth your time based upon how you make each other feel in a very comprehensive way. Because if you're a person that wants to be in love, then you're gonna seek out love. First and foremost, your mind, like I would say, just for instance, the guy at 50, he said he know where he went wrong with different things, and as a woman, you should know where you went. And if you're looking for something sustainable, then you should be clearly defined by that, and not just convenience or just to have something for your own personal gain. But if you're into a person, you're gonna give it the time and attention it needs for it to grow, and you'll know what to do and what not to do.
That's true.
I don't think there's a
I mean,
set
like you
time.
said, Kevin, it moves on a relative pace.
I think what happens is like it's on a case-to-case basis, right? Some people you have a lot of chemistry with, and things move smoothly and faster. And then some it takes a while to really date them, to get to know them, to open up or get them to open up certain things about them. And also time as well is a factor. Sometimes you may want to have a couple of dates with this person, but your schedules don't always align, so that delays the process as well. But I also will say, based on the recent list of places where ladies do not want to go on dates, it's made the process. Yeah, exactly. Cheesecake Factory and all these other places. Yeah, like it seems to me like ladies don't really want to have fun. They just want to get to, let's go and have a lavish date somewhere and spend money and stuff like that, which is fine. That may be your preference, but you just made it easier for guys to say, I'm not gonna date ladies who don't want to go to these 25 different places because they're viable options for me. So if we can't go somewhere, relax and have fun,
Yeah.
then what is the date really meant to be about?
That's
You know?
right.
Is it something for them to try to influence their
I,
friends
I mean,
and
this is the way it is with
followers?
Yeah.
me.
Hold up, Sean. Hold up. JR, is this something that maybe these
Yeah,
women are trying to
yeah.
influence their followers and their family on IG because they got to take all these pictures? I'm at this exclusive restaurant, guys, with this fellow,
Yeah.
and they're taking pictures of the food, they're taking pictures of the ambiance. That's crazy to me. That is
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
crazy that dating has
that
turned out to be that.
exactly, that definitely happens. And obviously you see a lot of the time they're showing the venue, but they're not showing the guy they're with.
that's right.
So
But what's the focal
um
point?
exactly. So I think it's the badge of honor that comes with, yeah, I ate at this place, or
Exactly.
this person spent this much on my food, and that's the bragging rights. But
That's it.
the,
Bragging rights. You said it
the
right.
the date is meant to be getting to know each other. And I think, if you put more and more obstacles in the way of that, then it reduces the amount of time that someone's going to give you to get to know you, because you're always shutting things down or saying what you're not going to do. Oh, I'm not going to go to the pool hall. I'm not going to go to Cheesecake Factory. I'm not going to go to the cinema. Like, you're not doing all these different things. And, some guys will just be like, you know what? It's just too much. Like, we can't even just go somewhere and just get to know each other. It's all about doing something extraordinary every single time I see you. No, it's probably not going to
Right.
be worth it either.
Yeah.
But you're setting yourself up as a guy. You're setting yourself up for failure if
Yeah.
you start off that way. You're going to be expected to maintain that level of consistency going to these high-end places. And if it's not in your budget, then don't even entertain it.
Yeah, I agree, JR. I absolutely agree. I
Mhm.
don't think those kind of dates on a weekly basis or a regular basis are sustainable for most men, for most middle class men, most working class men, most blue
Mhm.
collar men, and even men that have money. They may decide. I've often heard when I was younger, the expression that he'll either spend money on you or he'll either spend his time on you, but he won't do both.
That's right.
And so I think that you got to kind of really filter out. To JR's point, I really love what you said, JR. Dating is supposed to be about getting to know one another and have some fun. For goodness sake, have some fun. We're all out here working, or you're going to school, or you're raising kids, or you're not raising kids, but have some fun with this person and see if you really like their vibe, if you like their aura. What do you have in common? Just get to know them, and that doesn't require all of these extra things. It could be in the summertime. It could be a nice picnic.
I
You
don't know
know,
why I was saying that myself,
Mhm.
a
because it's the
picnic.
things that make you full about that person after they're gone away. How that person feel about
Yes.
your dating prospects? How they feel about you as a person, and how you made them feel.
Okay. High Vibe
Mhm.
has got some good ideas. Go ahead, Sean. You had something. Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah.
Sean, you had something you wanted to contribute. Go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, I think it's just, yeah, it's different from each woman. Of course, I mean, just like this one sister I was trying to get to know here in the DFW area, and I was like, look, well, can we go to such and such? No, I don't like to do chain restaurants. I'm like, what? I mean, damn, what can I do? So I'm trying to think of
Did she
something. I
actually
said
say
salt
that to
grass.
you? Did
She
she
said
actually say
she said she don't
that
like
to
to
you?
do chain restaurants. She did. She said
Hmm.
that to me. She don't like to do chain restaurants. And
Wow.
so I said, well, how about salt grass? Salt grass. No, I ain't driving all the way over there. I was like, dang, what in the world? Where are we gonna go?
So
So
basically,
we
she just
did
don't want
finally
to go
meet
on
at
a
this other
date.
spot. This spot.
Okay. How was that date? How was
She
that
really
date?
didn't. I mean, I was like, down. I said, well, because it was nice. It was nice, but I was like, oh, I mean, I had to drive way across town to get to that spot, but it was worth it. Because she said she don't like to drive. I was like, daggone, well, daggone. You don't want me to come pick you up. So, if I'm trying to find a happy medium spot between you and me. So you want to drive that far and I want to drive that far. And so, but you don't like to do chain restaurants. You don't like Papados. You don't like Saltgrass. You don't like,
I love
I'm
Papa
not talking
Do's
about
when I'm
some little
down in
swanky place
Texas.
and nothing like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I was
I
like, well,
love Papa
daggone. I said,
Do's.
shoot, I don't get along with this. and she's an outdoor person. She likes the warm weather and stuff. I said, well, let's go to a Texas Rangers game. That was when baseball season was in
Oh,
full
I would have
swing.
loved that.
Daggone.
I love baseball.
And I was like, daggone. I mean, because one thing about me, what not too many places around here. I don't do picnics, quote unquote, around here. Because my connotation what picnic is, what have you. But uh, um, I might do an outing like, we might go to a jazz lounge or something like that. I like to do something like that, but I don't want to do around a whole lot of crowds and stuff. But she like baseball games. Like, what do I do? And what do you do? How do I get to know you? What do I have to do with you?
But where
So
can we meet that we can
that's
mutually
just
agree
my
upon?
like
It'll
everyone's
still be
different.
a win-win for us both,
Yeah.
Right.
Why does that have to be
Oh
difficult
yeah.
right out the gate?
That's exactly it.
Right
That
off the
says
rip.
lie. That says lie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a question for
So.
you, Sean. Did you guys ever end up going
Mm-hmm.
on a second and third date? Absolutely, Grace.
We never
First and
did. We never did. I mean,
that's kind of what I figured. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know
We did.
exactly
I mean,
why?
we talk every now and then, but
Mm-hmm.
well,
Do you
she's I think she's of the bourgeoisie. She's a
ah
bourgeoisie, and like the
she's
country
in
people say
that
she
sorority.
bougie. She bougie.
Bougie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's not in a sorority, but yeah, she's a bougie. She's a sorority, bourgeoisie sorority. Yeah, like Euphrates
Right,
for
right,
Fraser, the
right.
black bourgeoisie.
Right, right,
Uh,
right. They've got to go to those
so,
special restaurants. Yeah.
but it's real interesting. Well,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
I'm
because
sorry that it didn't turn
I
into.
like going to the com. I like it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, nothing lost, nothing gained. I mean, my feelings weren't invested right away. So I was just trying to get the initial stage, trying to break open ground. To just get to know who she is or what have you. But I mean, I like going to comedy clubs or something like that. Getting a good laugh because my job is very serious. So I like
Mhm.
just going to the comedy club, just let off steam, just
Mm-hmm.
what have you. Or maybe go out to a lounge, nice jazz lounge, or a nice dance. We can go do dancing or what have you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
So
uh-oh.
hey,
Cut the rug. Cut the
it might
rug.
be not be that quote unquote creative. Yeah, I cut a rug now. I got to cut a rug, but
George
hey, but
Jefferson
hey.
style, huh?
Oh, you light on your
George
feet,
Jefferson style.
Sean?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, all right. I heard
I'm light
that.
on
You
my
do
Well,
the
you
feet.
know,
Dr.
I'm light
all
on
of
my
Pepper
those
feet.
style.
I'm
things
light on
sound
my
like
feet.
really, really
Yeah,
fun
I'm light on
things
my
to
feet.
do. That's stuff that I've done in the past on dates. I don't see a problem with it. And then at the same time, I've had men that take me to very expensive, exclusive restaurants and clubs and all of these type of things. But for me, I don't know, other than him opening the door and catching the door and doing those chivalrous things that I kind of like for my man to do or a man that I'm seeing, other than that, I really don't care. I really never really cared or specified if a guy called and said, well, this is where we're going to go or this is where I like to take you. Okay, fine. Other than, like I said, now I'm not doing your house on a first date. That I won't do. That's a no for me. But other than that, I mean, we go into the Cheesecake Factory, fine. That just informs me of how to dress. That's all that does. I'm not putting on my expensive, my after 5 to go to Cheesecake Factory. But if you tell me we're going to an exclusive restaurant, then I'm going to put on my after 5 and get totally dialed up. That's it.
I hear that. Oh, I ain't gonna take you to Waffle House nowhere like that.
Yeah, there's some places like I probably would say like I think if I were a guy and I'm a girl, but
Yeah.
if I were a guy, I think I wouldn't want to take a woman on a first date to a family restaurant. I'm just saying, like I don't think that you're going to be able to talk. You got kids in the background, they're cutting up, they're making noise, I just think that if you're trying to get to know somebody, you want to take them to a place that's relatively civil and quiet enough where you can have conversation, right? But anyway, getting back on track here, we see Zadia and her keeper Cameron go to do art out of cut glass at a studio. Cameron says that he wants to give his woman the soft life. Now, is it a Freudian slip when Zadia tells him that his money is going to be her money and her money is going to be her money, or was that just a mistake on her part? What did you guys think about that?
It could
No,
have been a little bit of both. Because I think she tried
Okay.
to keep it in perspective, you know. But he
Yeah.
said that he wanted to um he's okay with certain things, but you know, you have to work together, and if I'm there for you, you should be there for me, you know, to make it something that can work and not be so overwhelming. You know, we are a team because you may position me in my thinking when we can make a lot of money, you know, because what you bring to the table, you may be, because it's what you bring to the table that complement one another. It's not just the money, it's how we manage money and how we make money together too as well.
Okay.
Because those are the deal makers, the deal breakers. Money, how you deal with money can either make a relationship or destroy it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
mm,
JR, thank you for that. JR, you wanna jump in there?
yeah, I don't think it was a Freudian slip, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it was an error. I think she just spoke her mind. I think
Oh.
sometimes she may say what she's thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and it just comes out.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but at least she's honest and she's open with it,
Mm-hmm.
and he now knows that going in.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be another one of the things that
Mhm.
she's factoring into who she eventually ends up with.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sean? What do you feel about Zadia's date with Cameron?
Mm-hmm.
The abundance of heart mouth speaks. I think
Mm-hmm.
she said exactly what it was that it
Mm-hmm.
was feeling. I think she's counting his money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she's playing chess. He might be playing checkers, but she's playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
She's counting his
Ooh.
money. He's a pharmacist, and he's got to be making X,
Mhm.
Y, and Z's, and he's a photographer on the side. So yeah, he's making pretty good money, so he can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
she's counting his money for him. Yeah.
I
Thank you, Lord
wonder
Hurls.
what.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the interview that you gave me. She was giving me all that interview, and I couldn't answer all
Okay, okay, but
that.
listen, I want to ask you this though. While she's counting his money, and I think you're absolutely right about that. That's kind of how I feel too. Um, I wonder if he's had the conversation with her about those children, and so how does he feel about that? Because you're going to give her the soft life. He's in the prime of his life. I didn't hear him mention that he had any children at all, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to marry this woman, and she's not going to even give you a couple of children, or try
Mhm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Mhm.
really sure I'm following the logic behind
She'll
that.
gift him one.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh, gift him one. Yes, that's right. In the
Mm-hmm.
She said
words
she'll
of
gift him
Jeffrey.
one.
Yeah, in the words of
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey. I got it.
Mm.
And I don't know. I think it's a new wave. Like for the last maybe 20 years or so, I've talked to my daughter's college friends back when they were in college, and young women. And there's a new wave now about women that are professional, high earners, or high achievers, or wish to be, is the idea that they're not going to have any children, or maybe only have one child. And I think that's something, and that's fine. I'm not, everybody has the right to their reproductive freedom. But I think the thing about it is, for men and women that are going to be getting involved, going to get married, going to be life partners, I think
Mm-hmm.
those are serious conversations that you need to have before you commit to marriage or
Mm-hmm.
being lifetime partners. And this person is talking about, like Zadia is saying, this whole gifting thing. For me, I would respect her more if she would just say, I don't really want to have children, because that's, to me as a woman, that's what I'm hearing, that she really doesn't want to have children. And that's fine, but just say that.
Mhm.
Well, at 35,
No.
and it's just that at a certain stage, you got to think about,
They're 35 again.
yeah, let me say, you got to think about things in a very way that's fair to you, because you can say that now, but in 5 years, you'll be 40. And if you don't have any children about 40, what are you're gonna have a child and you're 45, and then that child, when they graduate, you'll be 65. So you have to think like that. Maybe it's not always, you can say that, but then are you open to changing that? Because this is for you, not so much for the man, but for you. If you don't have any children, then you have to deal with that for the rest of your life. based upon the decision you're making now. You're making a lot of money, but like another episode of this show was more life than just if you have all these things, but then that's all you have. Is that enough for you? You know, you're gonna just put all your money into your career, and then what about when you get older? You say, well, I don't even have a husband. I don't have any children.
Mm-hmm.
That could change. Because things can change immensely. You're looking at things based upon right this moment, but this moment will change. And then what are you going to do about your life then?
So serious and so true.
Mm-hmm.
So true. I mean, like I said, I have no problem with Zadia not wanting to have children. I say that's fine. Again, every woman, I've talked to several women, and in fact, one woman that was my age that had been married and never wanted to have children, but in her second marriage, she's very happy. Her husband had children from his previous marriage, and
Okay.
she absolutely loves that life now.
Okay.
And I think she gets the fullness of it all because and then she did it without even getting the stretch marks or anything. So I'm like, wow, she's got a perfect situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything is not for everybody. I totally
It's
get
not.
that. But I don't like, just like I don't like when men play games and play word games and use semantics about what they really want and what they're really looking for and what their true intentions are. I also don't respect women that say things like, I'll gift you a child. And, if you really don't want to have a child, just say that. Okay, like there's some dude out there that doesn't want children either. So knock yourself out.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And who you are, who you can become, can be so different.
Okay, so
well,
guys,
it's because motherhood. I think motherhood looks.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say motherhood looks so much different nowadays. And I think very few women proportionately are interested in being mothers nowadays.
But so
Whereas
does
it used to be years ago, a lot of women felt like, because I guess because of society, yeah, and I think because of societal pressures and norms, a lot of women felt like they were less than women if they didn't have children per se.
That's true. That's true.
Years ago. Now it seems like when I tell people, I said, look, I'm in my 50s and I don't have any children. They're like, what's wrong with you? I said, well, I can't say I ain't doing anything not to make any children. I just don't have any, what have you. But
right.
and I'm seeing like an anomaly.
By choice.
What have you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're assuming that. Yeah. So, and I think it's more so acceptable now to see women not have children per se. And I don't think, I mean, I can't speak for every woman because I'm not going to speak for every woman, but a lot of women don't per se feel that unfulfilled if they don't have children.
No, they
just occupies another space in their life that does not free them up to do X, Y, and Z.
That's right.
Well, it's more money to spend.
I mean, because it used to be like several years, probably a few years ago.
I feel like it's an extra $1 million I would have had to spend on just myself. So yeah, I would have jetted all around the world. Yeah, I would have had, maybe plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, whatever thing that I needed and wanted, every red bottom shoe that I could have bought. But instead, I spent it on getting my children a quality education, making sure we lived in a nice neighborhood and all these other things. So I get it. And like I said, I don't knock anybody for it. I just think that people need to be honest about whatever their intentions are. That's the only thing I'm
across the board, everything.
Across the board, men and women, men and women. But guys, we move on to, and this is where we get to Ashley again. So Ashley, who's tells us she bartends in the ATL, has a mixology date. I'm sorry, with Kirsten, and she begins to talk to him about dating Zadia, and they begin to kind of go back and forth. And I'm kind of like, why are we talking about Zadia on our date with Kirsten?
But that's your insecurities.
Right. Kirsten wants to keep Ashley in the here and now, but she wants to sit up and debate. She wants to seek the validation that, do you not think that I'm pretty because you told her she looked good? But I don't remember you telling me all of this on our date. Well, no, Ashley, because you were too busy telling him how fine he was. You didn't allow for space. And then one of the things that I noticed early on about Ashley, going back to the first episode to now, is that she has a tendency to overtalk her partners in her dates. So whether she's having fun and laughing and telling them how fine they are, how perfect their teeth are, she doesn't allow the space. Sometimes it's okay to be quiet and just allow the man to give you his thoughts. Sean, what did you make of this date with her and Kirsten going back and forth?
Well, I'm not a singer, but my mind goes to the song by the Williams Brothers. Sweep around your own front door. We try to sweep around mine. I mean, so, I mean, it was really not necessary to ask about another date with somebody else. I mean, for what? Like Calvin was saying, that shows the insecurities there. I mean, at the end of the day, he's gonna choose whoever want to choose, or she's gonna choose whoever she wants to choose, what have you.
I'm with you,
And then for him to
I'm
have to
with you,
validate her, well, you were better. You were better. Yeah. I mean, well, you were better. I mean, I think he said that too because he realized the type of woman he's dealing with. Yeah, to appease her. Yeah. Because if he had not added that on there, back where we are, So, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like the focus shouldn't be on what his other dating experiences have been like with the ladies, because now you're setting up a situation where you're trying to compare what his relationship was. Sorry, what his dating experience was like with Zadia. You're going to compare it to how your dating experience is going to go, right? So I don't think that was a good idea, especially if you're insecure already and you're overthinking. Now your brain's going to be playing havoc. Is he copy and pasting the things he said? Now she's going to go and check with Zadia probably and be like, yeah, so what did Kirsten say to you? And, I found him to be like this. How did you find him? Like, you're going to be comparing notes and all those things. I don't think that is a good recipe for someone like Ashley to do. But I'm not surprised that she did it. I was actually surprised when she started talking about how combative he was and all the rest of it. And again, I think she's someone that struggles with reassurance. Like someone could say, look, I did X, Y, and Z, and I'm saying this to make you comfortable, and there's still going to be an air of doubt and mistrusting and things like that. And it's, I think the more I see of Ashley, I think she's going to be a handful for someone to have a long-term relationship with, unless she somehow finds the self-analysis and self-reflection to see the error in some of the things she's doing. Maybe when she watches the show back, she might cringe a little bit and decide to change certain things. But as currently constructed as we're seeing her, she's going to bring a lot of stressful situations into any relationship that she has.
Guys,
well, if you notice one thing about it to me, one thing about it to me, now just looking at the show, this is just me, I'm not being judgmental or not. When you're talking about the insecurities, Ashley dresses in such a way that you see a lot of her body parts, a lot of her body. And I think that's the way she moves with
this
the men
episode,
to
yeah, we
present this.
got quite an eyeful.
Yeah, this is what it presents to her. Value my body over my brain per se. You know, and I think that's what it portrays to me, looking as a viewer, looking at the show per se, what have you. Even though that may be visually appealing to a lot of men, however, the idea is a man's going to think about you in a way that you're presenting yourself to him. You know, I know I move differently depending on the woman that I'm dealing with. I mean, if I'm dealing with a woman just that's displaying her intelligence more so than her pulchritude, of her body, then I know how to maneuver per se.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Calvin, I'm not sure if Calvin is with us right now, if he wants to chime in, or if he's available right now. So, Calvin, if you are available, you can feel free right now to chime in about Ashley and her date. Okay.
I don't think
Okay.
she's there.
Yeah. Okay. And with that being said, so we'll move forward. Um, they're arguing and they're going back and forth. And this is again where we see this power dynamic where Ashley tells um she tells
Mhm.
Kirsten, well, I have the power to keep you here or not. And again, for me, as someone who thinks I believe in fair play and justice and equality, I don't like it when it could be either a man or a woman. I don't like it when someone who thinks they have power or maybe has power uses it to become domineering and lords it over the person who they think they have the control and the power over. I didn't like that. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that's not very gracious. It's not very kind. It's not a good thing. It's not a good look. How did you guys feel as men? How did you feel about that? If you're on a date and you were in this situation, and I know probably none of the men here would be on this show, but if you were, how would you feel if she said something like that to you?
Yeah. Well, there's a saying that goes, "It ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun." Right. And
Yeah, yeah, that's what you're saying.
I think sometimes what we see, and I'm not speaking for all women at all, but when the power dynamic is reversed and they have more control in the situation, sometimes it does go to their heads,
Mhm.
and they, uh, I want to say they do things with that power that they wouldn't like done to them or have been
Mhm.
fighting to change. Um, so the statement itself, you know, I personally feel like I would just take it as, okay, you do have the power in this moment, the control in this moment, but in a relationship, you're gonna realize that, you know, it's a two-way street. You're gonna say your piece and have your opinion. There's certain things you can control, and I have an element of control and the way I conduct myself too.
Mhm.
Ultimately, though, in a long-term relationship, these things will have to be worked out in time, because if you want to have the last word all the time and you want to dictate how everything goes, then you may come across as too rigid, too regimented, and take the fun out of the relationship too.
Mhm.
Hmm. I feel you. I feel you. That's a good point. Any of you, Calvin, you're back. Would you like to give your piece of explanation or how you feel about this with Ashley and having that power and that control and lording it over Kirsten, her
Mm.
date?
Well, that's just it. She has a lot of issues with um, insecurity. So since she has leverage, but then you know what? Always be considerate of the needs of somebody else. Because you don't want nobody dealing with you in a mean spirited, contemptuous way. Why would you inflict that upon them? If you know
Mhm.
how it feels to be not valued, you should always be conscientious of how you deal with somebody. Because your goal really in a love relationship is not to lord over nobody or to use it to your advantage. You want to bring out the best in one another. you know, because that's the
Mhm.
ultimate goal is that we both win. There's no win or loss situation. We both lose when we abuse one another. We both lose.
Exactly. Mhm.
Hmm. Good point. Good point. Sean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't. I'm sitting here thinking. I don't know psychologically how the brain responds to it when you say you're not ready to love, or you think you still are ready to love, versus I'm gonna keep you around, or I'm going in a different direction. I don't know. I don't know how the brain responds to each one. I've never been told either one of those things. So I don't know what the reaction is within a man. I mean, I know there's the built-up anxiety within the show, like could they go do the pregnant pauses? Yeah, I think you are, and then cut the commercial, and then I think we'll keep you around. The exhale after that. Versus I think I'm going in a different direction. So I don't know how the male brain responds to this, and with that dynamic to say to a man that I'm going to keep you around, or I'm going in a different direction, or I got the power to eliminate you. It makes a man feel impotent, not sexually, but impotent, to tell him that I got the power to keep you around, per se.
Yeah.
It might make him feel kind of powerless and helpless in that situation. I don't know. So it could be that.
Or could respond.
Maybe
That's
I'm
a very
overthinking
good
it. I don't know.
No, I don't think you are. And to your point, I think that some men, depending on their characteristics and their nature, would feel somewhat emasculated and would use that term to say, you know what?
Yeah.
Well, what you can't stop me from doing is cheating on you or seeing other women or having intimacy with other women, and use that to get back and be petty. So I think you're absolutely right. A lot of men aren't used to being in this, having this dynamic that the show is twisting everything totally on its head. And instead of it being 5 women to one man, it's 4 women over here, and like JR pointed out, and 25 men. So that's quite a different spin right there. So it does throw things on its head. But I think the thing for the women to keep in mind is that at the end of the day, we're coming out of this situation, in this scenario, and you right back to the real world. And actually, these guys, as they go home, and we already saw the one guy, the Donald, didn't call Ashley. Well, maybe he was talking to some women on the side. Who knows? You don't know. So it doesn't behoove you to be all domineering and lording over people. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It just really doesn't.
Right, but the key thing is these ladies are dating multiple guys. That's the process as well. So, are they expecting these guys to be loyal to them and be dating them only while they continue to date other ladies?
Good point. Other men.
I know that's what the premise of the show is, but in reality, is that what they're doing? Are they putting all their eggs in one basket like that? So early, where you're only dating them once, and then you're deciding, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna not date anybody else because we've been on one date, and I'll wait for you to decide how we move from there. We don't know, but like at the end of the day, the show is predicated on these ladies having the control to date multiple guys. And I think it's how they water and nurture those connections. That's going to be a really telling factor. Because while you're dating, like, for example, if we already know that there's high emotions early, we already know that there's an element of insecurity early.
That's right.
As the show develops and people start to establish genuine connections, how does this manifest in a beneficial way for the parties involved? I only see it getting ramped up a little bit, and maybe some fights and stuff. I have to say, the way Donald got sent home, he was very apologetic and this, that, the other. Like, I thought he seemed sincere. He held her hand and said, "Look, I'll try and do better in this, that, the other." He still got sent home. So someone like that, who was actually apologetic and more, you know what, I see your point. I'm gonna try and do this a different way for you to try and make you more comfortable. I'll never not call you again. He was saying all those type of things, and then to still get sent home, I think that type of rejection is kind of different to, okay, we don't get along, we don't see eye to eye, we both just have to agree that we're not a good match, and then you both walk away. There's a huge difference. So Donald Bond was a bit more involved because of how the emotions were high at the time, and the fact that I think he saw the error of his ways and how it affected her and wanted to do something different, but still got rejected.
It still got, yeah, he still ended up getting cut. You're right. And to your point though, I think about even further back before that though, JR, that this is Donald. The Donald was the same guy that on the bowling date, on the double date, he was the same person that whipped out his phone and immediately showed her, but here I text you 3 different times and I never received a response. So I didn't know
Exactly.
what to think. And so I'm kind of like, I'm a little confused on that one too, to some degree, but some people are speculating that maybe Ashley was just ready to move in another direction. So she
Yeah.
used that opening to cut and run from him. So
Yes.
I don't
Yes,
know.
definitely. When you saw the connection between her and Kirsten last week, you could instantly see how happy and gleeful she was. That
Mm-hmm.
back and forth interaction, she was really stimulated by that.
Yes.
And then only to this week now, you know, he's combative and the whole energy shifted. So she's let go of Donald, and now Kirsten is that's pretty much finished.
Now, now Kirsten's the problem. And then I didn't understand how he got to be combative, because my whole thing is watching this more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. I'm listening to what I'm watching it. I'm watching their interaction. They're both talking. They're both passionate. He's trying to explain some things to her. But my thing is, okay, Ashley, slow down and listen. The man is trying to communicate his feelings, his thoughts, what happened, how he wants you to move forward from the Zadia date, because you both agree, you both signed up for a dating show, so you knew that he would be dating your roommates. He knew that you would be dating other men. You both accepted
Mhm.
that. So why are we even talking about what happened between him and Zadia? That's a moot point.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. Because these men
Well, I think
aren't
he used the
excuse
C. I think he used the C word with her.
the what?
the C
Oh,
word.
I never heard him say a C word. If you saying that nasty C word that we can't even say
I
here.
think he used the C word. I think he said she was crazy. See, I think I
Oh,
thought
that
I
C
think
word. Okay.
no. I think he said told her she was
He
crazy.
said he liked, well, he
Oh,
said the things that he
yeah. I
liked
think he told
about
her she was
her is
crazy,
that
and then that
even the things that she's
triggered
kind of
something in
crazy.
her.
Well, he ain't too far from wrong,
Yeah.
because unstable
Yeah.
would be another word for unstable, could be crazy.
Yeah.
So then, who has the power? If you're
Exactly.
still succumbing to
So
your emotions and your feelings, really, it's showing this is a great show because it shows you about how the dating, the missed challenges that are in dating, but then it's not so much the person. It's how you feel about yourself. You still bring that to the table. And if you have a
Ooh,
difficulty with getting the kind of relationship that you need, then what is it about you that you need to put in check?
ooh, Calvin, say that one more time. You bring what to the table?
You bring all these challenges and emotions to the table, and if there's something going on, look at yourself. Don't just look at the other person. They don't want me. Well, if they don't want
come on,
you,
Teddy
then maybe it's
Pendergrass.
red flags that's out there that you don't see what they see. And they're dodging bullets by not committing to you. They don't want to commit to you.
Mm. Calvin, you said a
Come on,
mouthful right
Teddy
there. No matter
Pendergrass.
where you go, no matter where you
You can't
turn,
hide from yourself.
you
That's
can't
right.
hide from yourself. That's it.
You
That's
can't
it.
hide
That's
from
all.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And
Wherever
that's
you go, there
okay.
you are. So
That's okay because you're up under the microscope, and
yeah.
in a setting like this, you're seeing that dynamics of
Hmm.
dating and all that it entails and consists of. So just be open to assessing and seeing where you are and where you're not within yourself, and be willing to do the work to change. Don't blame it on anybody else. Look at yourself.
Hmm.
Even in a marriage, you still look at yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not so
you
much your
still
wife;
have to look
it's
at
you too.
yourself.
You're in it
That's
together.
it.
So what is it about you that why is it not working and going to the level that it needs to go to? And don't be so quick to point the finger at somebody else all the time.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, 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 mm. Well, we see that Ashley and Kirsten, they do seem to. I mean, like I feel like this guy must really like her, just like
Yeah.
Donald seemed to have gotten genuine toward the end. This
Mm-hmm.
guy Kirsten must really like her, because he kind of stayed in that through some
Mm-hmm.
bickering back and forth,
Yeah.
and her even saying, what
Mm-hmm.
she said to him,
Mm-hmm.
that she's got the power and the control, and getting a little cocky
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Mm-hmm.
He stood in everything. They seem to have kind of worked it out, Um, and hold on. Okay. And then because basically the other question that he had for her is, hey, look, do you think that we're exclusive? I've only met you one time, twice, and now all of a sudden we're exclusive, which I thought he had an excellent point. Like, where they do that at? Where they do
Yeah.
that at?
Yeah.
Like, you're not my woman and I'm not your man. So let's simmer down a little bit. And to your point, Sean, that's where that C word and those dynamics kind of come into play. Like, calm down, lady. We are dating. We are getting to know each other, and I'm not yours, and you're not mine until we have had that explicit conversation of exclusivity. That's a conversation or two that we're going to have,
Wait.
and not until that time does it really mean anything like that. It doesn't mean that. So we're gonna move forward. But
Well, some people latch on quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another C word. That's the C word called clingy.
Oh, that's another C word, clingy, huh?
Yeah, clingy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some
Kirsten
people latch on
basically.
quickly because, like like I said a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Attachment style.
Go ahead. I apologize.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying, some people like Jay was saying, clingy. The word clingy. Like some people, like go back a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that look, if you braid my hair, then we go together. Or we go across. If I have to carry your books from school, we go together. What
You're
have you?
mine.
So
You're mine.
You're mine, baby. You belongs to me. If
you're
we go
mine
to the
now.
cheesecake, hey, look, if we go to the Cheesecake
You ain't
Factory,
belong to
you're
me.
mine. Oh my God! So those are
You mine
conversations.
now. Yeah.
Those are
I don't do that
conversations
for
that need.
everybody. I don't do that for everybody. You special.
You special, you special. But getting back on track, Kirsten says that he is there for love,
Yeah.
which I thought that was a very important that was a very important thing for him to say, that he was there looking for love and for a true relationship. And for a man to say that and on national TV on camera, I really respected and admired that he said, these things. And I did not, and this is just me, I did not get the sense that he was jiving us. I felt like he was being sincere. But we move on to Sharice. Sharice and Mr. Mute Maurice, who's been in my comment section. Thank you for that, Maurice. I appreciate your chiming in on things, as it were. But Sharice and Mute Maurice seems like they've been on date number 5011, as our girl Roro would say. But they got rained out from their tennis match. So now they do the worst thing that they could possibly do for Maurice. They go to a place where they do what? Where they serve food. But we know how Maurice is about his food. He ain't playing. He not gonna talk. He not gonna entertain you. He not gonna answer questions. But with one word, if he gets that one word out, Maurice was busy eating not only his food but Sharice's food too. What did you guys make of that? What did you make of that, Sean?
He was mighty comfortable. I mean, to eat her food. I mean, I don't know what made him inviting to do that. I mean, because I would have been like, if I was going, I think N word, please. Hey, ain't nobody tell you eat off my plate. If you order your food, you eat your food, and I eat my food. That'd have been the first reaction out of me. N word, please. Hey.
I absolutely agree with you on that. I'm a person. I'm really not about people going into my plate without my permission or whatever. That's a no.
I mean, because that's an intrusion in your personal space.
It is. It really is. And you don't know whether I don't know where your lips have been, where your tongue has been. I don't know none of that. And I don't want cross contaminants in my food. Let me say it that way as nicely as I can. But we don't do that switching up on food. I'm like you. Even if I'm paying, whether I'm not paying, I order the food that I want, and hopefully you've ordered the food that you want. But if you want some of my food, please ask me. But yeah, they were but once again he was very quiet, but this time he was a lot more cocky, and he told her when she asked him about, well, how did he feel about the competition? He said, "What competition? There is no competition." I was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, okay." I mean, when he had them Louis Vuitton slides on a previous date and had those nails done ever so immaculately, he knew that he was winning her over because he is showing how prestigious, how wealthy, how affluent he is, and he knows that Sharice is all about the affluence.
Hmm.
But again, who has the power and authority? Because if you think you have the authority, but yet he's reeling you in to his
Hmm.
and his own in a subtle, pronounced way, then all you're doing is conceding to him. He's not conceding to you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because
Mm-hmm.
I really think that he has the power, definitely
That's right.
in their
Right.
dynamic. He
Mm-hmm.
definitely has the power because
Yeah.
we always, every date and every time she does a confessional to us, Sharice is constantly still complaining about that it's so hard to get Maurice to open up. She even said that after the date with the handsome, fine arse Keith, the master barber, and
Mm-hmm.
yet, at the end of it all, who does she pick? Mute Maurice.
Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, she weighed up lawyer, barber, lawyer,
Yeah,
barber.
there she
Easy
go. There you
choice.
go. It's all about the affluence, isn't it, Jr.?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
And
But
about the
you know,
shine.
he knows that. He
That's
knows
it.
that. So he
Yeah,
makes
he knows it too. He
well,
knows it too.
make the
That's why
decision.
he feels like there's no competition unless someone more affluent comes on the show
Mm-hmm.
and really makes him be like, "Wow, this guy's a
Mm-hmm.
superstar." I don't think he's gonna feel
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable about his position with Charisse. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's pretty evident. She's looking for someone a lot like very successful, and he
Mm-hmm.
claims to
mhm.
be that. And like I said, he may be a man of few words, but he might have many dollars.
That's right. And then,
And
but then
that
he
is
knows
all
that.
that matters at Sharice's world right now.
Mm-hmm. Because he's seen her before.
Hmm.
Yeah, so she's keeping him
Oh yeah.
around kind of much like she did with Samson, and I'm wondering, is it all gonna implode in her face, like much like her and Samson did on her season
Or
of
Mm-hmm.
just get to the end and choose herself.
well, but she's never. Well, she did kind of do that with Samson. You're right. She
Hmm.
did kind of finally opt out after many, many dates, and after him meeting her dad and her meeting his family or his friends. She did finally. You're right. She did
Mm-hmm.
opt out, and then they had a big blow up. Do you remember that, Jr.? They had a big blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sharice can be very confrontational, very
Mm-hmm.
disingenuous about what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
The diversity, the difference between what she says she wants and what she truly wants and what she'll accept. I don't really understand why you keep telling us with your mouth, talking out of one side of your neck, saying you want an emotionally available guy, a guy who communicates to you, and yet you keep going for mute Maurice over here on the other side. I just don't
So, what
understand.
is your definition of love?
What is your Thank you, Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
is your definition of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
love?
And what
Exactly
I mean,
that.
really, you in the same thought pattern because we're all in our own. If we're honest with ourselves, we
Hmm.
have we all have our own perspective and perception of things that we move by. So it's
Yes.
not just sir. We all are in our own thought modality and our perspective of things. So when you're
Yeah.
conscious of that, you really tend to be open more to improving your condition instead of being stuck in the same mode, getting the same results, but you still the same person. And yeah, look at the role that you play. We all have to. It's no different.
Right. That's
Mm-hmm,
true. That is
mm-hmm,
so true.
mm-hmm,
And then as we get ready to bring this whole thing in and wrap it up in a bow, um, we get back to the house. The ladies are
mm-hmm,
all present. All four ladies are on the sofa, and
mm-hmm,
Tamika is sitting across from them, the matchmaker. And she warns the women that it's now time. The gentlemen are all there outside waiting for the ladies to
mm-hmm,
tell
mm-hmm,
them whether or not they're keeping them or moving in a new direction. But she warns the lady that it's not about just their wants, it's also about their needs. And this is what I keep
mm-hmm,
thinking too, like sometimes we are stuck as women, we're stuck in a pattern of what we're like to what Calvin has said, what we're comfortable with, what we want, but we're really not feeding our needs, what actually will work out better for us in the long term. We're not really feeding that need. So okay, so we find out that getting back to Sharice does keep Maurice, of course, and he says so. You know, he says, I knew it.
What competition?
No competition. Vernice, of course, keeps Jabari. Okay, Playboy Jabari. And then we've got Zadia keeps Cameron, even though she thought she wanted to climb the tall tree. She decides to stay with Cameron, the pharmacist. And then we're left kind of wondering, because we do not find out on this episode what Ashley is going to do. But we all suspect that she's going to go with Kirsten, because she cut Donald loose basically, so she could go with Kirsten. So it's no real. We don't see any real chemistry between her and the other guy. Was it Justin or something like that? We don't see any real chemistry. What do you think, Sean? You over there hiding? What do you think? I know you're tired. We're about to wrap it up. Come on now. What do you think? Do you think?
I'm not tired. I ain't no way tired. No way tired.
All right. Okay, so what do you think? Do you suspect that Ashley's going to keep Kirsten, or?
I think she's gonna keep Kirsten, and I think that's gonna become problematic as he tries to maneuver through her idiosyncrasies. So as he tried to maneuver through her idiosyncrasies and insecurities, because ain't but so much you can take. Ain't but so much you can take. I mean, and when she was crying to Tamika, talking about, I just want to do what's best for me. I just need to do what's best for me. I just need to do what's best for me. All my life I put everybody else first and all that. I don't know if she knows what's really best for her. I think what's best for her is getting her self-help and being self-healed. And this process may be a little bit too much for her.
Yes.
I'm beginning to wonder that too. Is she emotionally and mentally
I think the process
prepared?
is too much for her.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know it's edited, and I know it's edited. I mean, just like if you go back to the beginning of the show, she was crying when she was talking to Donald. Then she went and wiped the tears away, stopped crying, and then saw Donald out. And then she sat on the couch. Then when Tamika came in, she started back crying again. I said, hold on now, okay. I said, okay, now, okay. She cried, drop of the hat, then stop. Then she go back to crying again. So the instability is there. I don't think, unless you're a strong man to deal with it and be able to love through the pain, I don't think too many men are going to put up with the insecurities and idiosyncrasies.
But you know what? In relationship, you have to deal with a person for who they are and who they are not. Their insecurities as well.
You do.
But the person themselves, I can't do the work for you. I can compliment you. I cannot complete you.
Yes.
Sometimes you want a person to do things for you that you're not willing to do for yourself. They can help you, but they can't. The work is on you at all times. I mean, you can be who you are, but they have to bring something to the table that can help it work. And I can't make it work. Help you help yourself. And there's times when people put a lot of burden on that person to do the things. I mean, if you're on drugs, alcohol, depression, anxiety, if you want to make all the money in the world, but I still have to be there to compliment. I can't do for you the things that you need. I can't give you the balance and the stability that you need me to give you. I can't. Don't look. It's unfair to put that burden on me because I can't do it.
That's right.
That's right.
She can't do
it. And that's me.
She can't do for you what you need to do.
And that's me. I'm like this. That's right. That's me. I'm like this. I'll be your lover. I'll be your friend. But I cannot be your God.
That's right.
I cannot be. I mean, I can be your lover. I can be your friend.
And the biggest mistake that people make, they want people to be something to them and for them that they're not willing to be for themselves. And that's not fair. It's not fair to put that kind of burden on another person as much as they love you. That's not enough.
That's so
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
so true. JR, your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I think the initial chemistry they had turned Ashley's head towards Kirsten, and maybe she had high hopes at that point, but their interaction this episode, uh, I'm not sure if they're gonna last much longer. I could be surprised, but I think this was kind of evident that there are some issues going on. It's still like she only met him last week, but
Mm-hmm.
it's already turned into a situation where they've had the heated words.
Mm-hmm.
And starting like that so early doesn't give me much hope in this connection.
Mm-hmm.
And like from what we see in the previews, they're gonna be some of the previous classmates come on the show and stuff like that. And obviously, there are still a lot more guys to date. But so for her and Kirsten, there may be a physical attraction, and there may be some other elements where they complement each other, like personality wise. But no, I think she's going to get in her own way and self sabotage the connection. Not saying he's perfect at all,
Mm-hmm.
but I think from what I've seen of Ashley, she's going to be still inside her head, inside her feelings. She's going to go off impulses that if she just took a deep breath and thought about the situation more for a few minutes, her response would be different. So I hope she doesn't go through the show kicking herself and regretting some of the guys she let go. But you know, I'm not sure. I think Kirsten would, like, last week looked like a good match. This week, it just kind of changed my
Mm-hmm.
what I think they could do together.
Did it change because of Kirsten, or did it change because of some behavior or action on Ashley's part?
I think, well, first of all, one of the biggest things for me is you both know what the process is, but yet you're insecure enough to ask him about Zadia and his other connection and things like that. I think that was a big mistake because none of the guys are exclusive to these particular ladies. If you date
Right.
one, that doesn't mean you're off the list for the others. I think it's still kind of like these guys can be chosen by some of the ladies to request dates and things like that if they want to get to know them better. So
Mhm.
Ashley may not be used to that side of things, but she's going to have to get used to it because we're still very early in this process. It's still like four episodes in. So that was the first thing. And then I think the other thing that I've seen from Ashley is just like with Donald, even though he apologized and tried to make amends, she couldn't let it go. I think this incident with Kirsten, I'm not sure if she's going to be able to let it go and move past it. She's called him combative and seemed to be quite flustered about the situation. I'm not sure she's going to be able to move on.
Yeah, that was a we kind of I don't know. Is it me? Is it just me? Am I just being cynical? JR, what's your thought on this? When she called him combative, I
Mhm.
immediately went to just the season that just ended of Ready to Love and said, okay, did production put that word in her head or in her mind? What do you think about that, JR?
Um, could be, or it could also be that that was her genuine assessment because she feels like she's got the control and the power. So what she says goes, and if he says anything to challenge it, then he's being combative. Um,
Mm.
but I also do think that if we look at how he reacted, um, you know, I don't see him sitting down, trying to get all the guys together or the ladies together and say, you know what, why did you call me combative and make a big show about it,
Okay.
which is what we saw in the previous season. So, that was her opinion of the situation, and maybe she's right in the way she feels, or maybe she's overcooking the situation. But
Okay.
ultimately, if he was that bad of a dude, then I'm sure the argument would have escalated a lot more,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't have been
I
able to
think
pass it up.
he would have walked away and said, "Forget you and forget this
Exactly,
process because
exactly,
I just met you, lady. It ain't that serious."
exactly. 1 week. one
Yeah.
day. Crazy.
Yeah, you're acting like we're engaged or something to that point. But thank you for that assessment, Jr. Anyone else have anything to say about this before we wrap up? And if you're out there
It's
in the
interesting
chat,
dynamic, I tell
you're
you.
oh, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just saying it's an interesting dynamic when you look at it. It's an interesting dynamic when you look at it. I mean, because peeping into next week, I mean, I think Ashley had a problem with Stormy and her questions, and I guess she feel like Stormy wanted the dude instead of her, asking on her behalf, So
Oh,
I
her
mean,
friend
maybe I'm a little
Stormy,
too far
right?
into it. I guess I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, Stormy, yeah. So I don't know,
Yeah, they purposely didn't show her
so
which
I don't
guy,
know.
but when they said 38, I said, okay, it's Kirsten
Hmm.
anyway. I'm pretty much sure of that. But when they
Yeah,
said 38, because the other guy is only
yeah,
35, so it's Kirsten.
Right.
hmm
And she looked
yeah,
like
yeah.
visibly uncomfortable with the line of questioning. So
Yeah, Ashley did. Yeah, she
Hmm.
did. I wonder. I mean, like, so she's thinking that Stormy is trying to flirt with her man already, or her guy, the guy that she likes.
yes.
Oh
Again,
my!
insecurity. She's thinking her friend's trying to hit on her man by asking the question she's asking. That's what it came across like
Yeah.
to me.
It did. It really did. You're right about that. And we got Zadia. Zadia's bringing in Camille, and we know Camille from her season on DC.
Camille.
Uh,
Oh,
Camille is talking, and she says, "Oh, be gentle with her camera." And of course, Camille. If anybody knows anything about Camille, Camille's not going to be gentle with him. She's going to go right in for the kill because she immediately says, "Okay, are you ready to move to DC?" And he's like, "Well, no. She needs to be thinking about moving to the South."
Mhm. Which is what the premise of the show is. The ladies are supposed to be trying to move to New Orleans, right?
You're right. You're right, Jr. That's the whole premise of the show. So,
So what memo did Camille get?
what? Say again.
What was the memo that Camille got? Like, did she think it was 90 Day the Other Way?
Right. Right. She didn't get the memo. She didn't get the memo that this show is about making a move to New Orleans.
move to New Orleans. Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think, Shao? What's your thoughts about the next week? We're gonna have some fireworks. Next week is gonna be really good.
Well, the only one that brought a man to the show was Sharice, who brought LJ in as her friend. I
Yes.
don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know who picked whom. I don't know if I don't know if I don't know if
LJ's got
production
a
said,
LJ's
"Look,
got
this
a
is who you have to
following.
bring." In.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Can you
So
imagine Sharice
I
having
mean,
any
they didn't
female
have too much
friends?
chemistry on their season.
Yeah, no, but
No,
but here's
No,
she doesn't.
Sean.
I'm
I
sure she
don't.
doesn't.
No,
Right,
but
exactly.
actually, hold
Especially,
on. Didn't she have a female friend
especially when
on her
Katie.
season?
I think Sean has a lag in his hearing on
Uh,
us. But
uh,
go ahead, Sean.
I think because I don't think she had a female friend in her season. I know she and Katie were at odds with each other. Swayze's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, they definitely weren't friends.
I think
No, not at
she was
all.
more at odds with the different women on her season. Yeah, because she's like, I'll slap you. Well, now come on, slap me then. Come on, slap me.
Right, right, right.
So
During the reunion. Yep, you're right.
I don't think she had any women friends. Yeah, I don't think she had any women friends, and then Zadi and Camille had this connection like the Houston season, freaking frack. I don't know I don't know who's Venetia's friend. I don't know.
Vernisha brings in Liz. Remember Liz, who was dating
Yeah.
David?
Liz, and Jason. Liz and Jason. Yeah,
Yeah,
David.
she
Yeah, David.
brings
Yeah.
Liz.
So
Which I think Liz should be
I
very
don't know.
practical because I find Liz to be
She might
very
be able to
like
read.
myself, very very logical, very pragmatic. So I don't think there'll be a problem with Liz.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
At least I don't expect for there to be now. Whatever dynamics happen, they happen. So we'll see. But I just think it's going to be a
Yeah.
very exciting episode next week for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
a very
I
good
mean,
question, Roro. Why are you arguing with a combative person if you have so much power? That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
I still try to figure out what combative means. in this show,
Yeah,
in the
it's a
context of
very
this show.
polarizing word, apparently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But Jr. says, I think Jr. If I'm not mistaken, you said something about he didn't make a big deal about it. Her calling him combative, right?
Mm. No,
No, he
like I
didn't.
said, he could have just got up and said, you know what? I'm not going to have you call me no names and bounce. And everybody would have said, oh, he's sassy. Why did he leave? You know, he's soft, all this other stuff. So, yeah, he wrote it, like he firmed it. He dealt with it. And,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, even if they butt heads from time to time, part of
yeah,
relationships is if you disagree, you still try and resolve the issue
yeah.
because there are underlying feelings or more to your relationship than what you're arguing about, right?
Correct.
And if you let it linger and you let it
Mhm.
stay there, then it obviously shows that you care more about this particular verbiage or infraction than you do care for the entire relationship and connection.
Right, right. And that's
True.
kind of
It just depends on who. It
he is
just depends
agreeing
on
with
who's
you.
hearing it.
Hmm. Right. It kind of does. It
It
kind
just
of
depends
does.
on who's hearing it.
Yeah, it kind of does. Well, I'm
I
going to
mean,
say this as a woman,
because
the word the word
yeah.
combative, it does to me, for me, it has a masculine connotation. I interpret combative as something maybe more so, and not saying that women cannot be, because they clearly can be, but when I hear it, it probably, if someone were to call me that, that would be jarring for me to hear that I'm combative as opposed to being assertive. Whether I'm going to make a big deal about it, no, probably not. I'm not, but I just would be that's kind of jarring for me to hear that I'm actually combative. I think of that word in more terms, more strategic terms, like even war terms or fighting terms, physical terms. So I don't really see myself in that way, but I get that somebody could be turned off by the use of that word. And to your point, JR, I think you're absolutely right. The fact that he's stuck in there and is so new showed maybe there's some kind of level of he really does like her. He really does care about her and wants to be with her because, yeah, if you're going to cut and run every time you have a disagreement or
Mhm.
dislike something that each other says, then clearly you're not going to be together very long because
Yeah.
people are always going to disagree.
True.
Hmm.
But how
Exactly.
to your
True.
point, how you resolve it and that you're willing to work to resolve it. But on Ashley's part, I just want to see that this is not an every week event, an occurrence that she's insecure and she's asking whether it's Kirsten or whether it's the next guy. Who did you see? What happened? What did you tell her? Did you tell her you were beautiful? Well, I don't like that. I just don't want to see
Hmm.
that every week from her. I don't,
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
you know. But
Yeah. I
guys,
mean,
thank you.
just like
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, it just like like we was just saying, she was just sharing that it depends on who's hearing the word. Jessica didn't like it when she was referred to as combative. Katarina said, "Look, if I'm being combative, tell me so I can work on it." And
Hmm.
then now Ashley says that about Kirsten. And then if you heard it this past week on Wednesday on Married at First Sight, Lauren says she knows that if she's combative and she's being combative, tell her. So it just depends on who's hearing the word and the response to that particular word. Um,
Hmm.
some people don't like the word aggressive.
Mhm.
I know, Aubrey, you just said you don't mind being called assertive or what have you, because you're not combative per se. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, so I think it just depends on who's hearing the word and the response to how the person feels about the person that's saying the word. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is like if you have combative tendencies, it means to me, in my opinion, it just means that you're willing to challenge and question and argue
Everything.
beyond the point of what would be, conflict resolution. Like there's an easy way to resolve the situation, but no, you want to go the argument. I want to get the last word. I want to be the one to shut down your opinion. I want to critique what you say. I want to, all those different things. And I think in a relationship situation, as I'm seeing now, it's probably common, but I don't think it's an attractive quality. Whoever says, you know what, I like you because you're so combative, or I love being around your combative energy. No one says that. So, you know, if you have that tendency or that personality type, you have to realize that it's probably not going to be conducive to a happy, long-lasting relationship. And if you meet someone who has that matching energy, it's probably going to be a lot of arguments and a lot of, you know what, you're getting put out tonight. You're going to sleep on the couch. I don't want to talk to you for a few days. You know, I want my own space. It's just going to spiral. So nip it in the bud. Like it's not going to be beneficial.
Yeah, you're right about that. If they got that kind of energy, what is your final take on this? I see you yawning, Sean, talking about you ain't tired. Okay, Sean, what is your final take as we
No,
wrap
I ain't
up? Before
tired.
I
Just
want.
yawning. Just yawning.
Okay, but what's your final take?
I mean, I agree with. I mean, I agree with everything Jr. said. I couldn't say it any better. I agree with what he said. So I just co-sign what he
Roro said something to your point, Jr. Because not every relationship warrants working on the conflict. Sometimes that requires too much energy, especially if no one is willing to compromise. And to her point, right? Because if you don't have that strong vibe or attachment or bond with the person, you may just look at it. Maybe the first time or two, you say, okay, let's compromise, let's work it out. Like he stuck it out with her at this point. But if, like I said, if he sees that every week from her, that she's questioning, well, who did you go out with this day? Or you didn't call me twice today, because apparently that's communication, calling her and validating her seems to be part of her love language, and I can appreciate that because I'm a big person that's big on communication. But do you have to call me necessarily every day? No, because there's some days where I clearly, like I talked about this last week, if it's Sunday, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not taking calls from nobody but my children on Sunday. Bye. Just leave me a message. I'll get back with you on Monday because this is my podcast day. Just simple as that.
Yeah,
I don't want to
I hear
talk to
that.
you. Yeah.
I hear that. I see that. You know, the problem is if you don't resolve the conflict, then you
Yes.
leave it there to be brought up at a later date when it's probably going to be more emotionally charged or nothing to do with what particularly is going on at that time. So leaving these things to linger and fester can sometimes make it worse. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is, you know, if you disagree on something, cool, we disagree. Let's just keep it moving. It's all love. It's all good. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. You know,
Right. Yeah.
that's it.
Everything.
What?
Yeah. Some things we can agree to disagree on, right, JR?
Exactly.
True. Well,
Exactly right.
some people are like this. You can love them, but love them improperly. In other
Mm.
words, if your love language, quote unquote, is acts of service, but my love language is quality time. If I just want to spend
Yeah.
quality time with you and not perform
Okay.
acts of service, I'm loving you, but I'm not loving you properly. And you still think that I don't love you because I'm loving from my love language, but not yours.
Yeah.
You
Now
know,
that now
so
you hit on something. Someone else said that in the chat earlier about love languages. That's very
yeah.
important. You're right. You're right, Sean.
So I mean, I'm spending all my time with you, and I'm expressing to you how I feel about you, but you still don't feel the love because I'm not doing the acts of service. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that and I don't, and I'm trying to love you from the place that I feel that you should be loved, but when I keep running to this wall, and like, well, why can't I satisfy this woman? You know, I can't. I mean, what's going on? I'm spending all the time with her I can, and all this stuff. But her
Mm-hmm.
love language is acts of service. She wants to see me doing. It's not so much how much time I spend with her per se.
Right.
You know,
Right. There you go. Well, that's a very
or
good
physical
point.
touch.
Fit,
Yeah.
I'm big on that. Now that's part of my
Or,
love language. Definitely
or
physical touch.
if you enjoy physical touch, but and
Hmm.
I enjoy acts of service, then I
Hmm.
might be touching you, but
You might get that
I'm not giving
Zadia
you acts
thing
of service.
where Zadia says, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna help you play pool better. I'm not gonna put my
Yeah.
hands on your waist and
Yeah.
and gently hug you.
And even when she was walking with Cameron
Yeah.
last week and he put his hand on her shoulder, she was like, don't, can you get your hand off my shoulder, or whatever she said, right?
Yeah, she did.
So,
I'm wondering about Sadia, but yeah, she can stay out all night with him. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, there may be some cases where you may have to perform acts of service with your physical touch, but but at the end of the day,
You're gonna have me choking over here, my God.
We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. Jermaine Stewart.
But wait a
We
minute.
don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. That's what Jermaine Stewart said.
That's what JR said about the physical touch. What did you say, JR? You got me cracking up over
so
here.
you might have to perform some acts of service with your physical touch, like combine both love languages.
Yeah.
But you know, the good thing is this is early days, so there isn't love there at the moment, or at least they shouldn't be, because it's only one date. So you know, basic communication is all we're at the moment, and if you're butting heads and all of that, you need to try and resolve that in order to see if you're gonna pick the person at the end, right?
Right.
If you, and like I said, like some of these conflicts may come back to bite you at decision time if you don't resolve the conflicts.
I was just thinking, real quick, all jokes aside, maybe Zadia's thing was with Cameron and the other guy too. Maybe she doesn't believe too much in public displays of affection, because there are people that are very affectionate in private, but they don't want you hugging and touching and squeezing on them in public. So
yeah,
maybe
public displays of affection are a big thing for some people.
So, so maybe that's her thing. I don't know.
I mean, just like, to me, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a psychotherapist, I'm not a psychologist, but just like going back to Zadia, it was just the rebound to pick Naeem on her show, knowing this is where she really wasn't feeling him, but just to say that she had somebody in her life. You know, I don't know why she broke up with Naeem. Say what now?
Well, did she break up with him? Did he break up? We don't really. Do we really
I don't know.
know?
I don't know. I don't know who broke up with who. But the idea is that, you know, I equate that Zadia and Naeem to Maria and Jessica. You know, like, okay, whatever. You know, we just gonna play along with y'all and believe that this is what it is. You know.
Yeah, because when she said they were together for 10 months, I was like, for real? 10 months or 10 days?
Yeah, might have been 10 days. Every day was a month. I'll see you once a month. I'll see you once a month. We gotta
go, because you guys are cracking me up too bad. Between you and JR and this touching and what was it?
We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. Jermaine Stewart.
Yeah, you with that and him with the acts of service while we physically touch. You guys are a mess.
That's it.
But Sean, tell our viewers and our subscribers how they can find you on social media, where they can find you. Could you tell them that IG address?
Sure. I'm glad to do that. I'm not an influencer or content creator, but however, you can find me on social media. You can find me on Instagram at SANDRES1906. Once again, that's at SANDRES1906, as you will see under my name on the screen. Thank you. And also on Facebook under my first and last name, Sean Stokes.
Okay. I think I got that up there. Okay, very good.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you once again for being our special guest. Our audience enjoyed you so much the last couple times you've been here. So they said we got to bring Sean back, and he graciously accepted to my invitation to come and be here. And I really do appreciate him. I appreciate, all the guys. And unfortunately, Calvin had to leave, but guys, you also need to check him out and go ahead, JR, and tell us about what's going on over on your YouTube and also on your Instagram.
JRX TV on Instagram. Exercise, health, fitness, well-being. And then YouTube, JRX TV, the same. You find me talking about the other component to your health and well-being, which is your relationships. So check out me and other content creators and collaborators. Like, share, and subscribe our videos, and keep that positive energy and keep watching.
Absolutely. Keep all of that going. And guys, I'm actually Aubrey. I'm asking for people to join my membership, but at least if you're not willing to do that or able at this time, that's fine. Just go ahead and like the video as a free form of support. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to JR's channel. Follow my friend Sean over on IG, on his IG. And these things will help us all tremendously so we can continue to bring you great content, great adult conversations about the shows that we all love and we get frustrated about, but in the end, we love to watch them because why? They give us so much food for thought and great conversation. So, guys, we're going to shimmy and shake on out of here. So, you guys want to say goodbye to our audience?
Take care.
Yes.
Have a nice
Have a great
evening.
night, everyone.
See you next week.
See you next week. See you
Have a
Sundays
great
at
night,
6:30
everybody.
p.m. Yeah, Sunday 6:30
Okay.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. Let's shimmy and shake on
Right.
out of here, guys. Bye now.
Yes, I know it's late where JR is, so good night.